Good morning. Today is February 8th, 2023, and the time is now 9 a.m. I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. I will call this meeting of the Commissioners to order. And if you do have your cell phones, please silence them at this time. And I did not do it beforehand, so allow me. And if you would join us for the pledge, Greg, would you care to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. If you join me for the invocation, please. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning, Lord, and as we come together to take care of the business of the county, we just ask that you would be with us, Lord. We ask that you would direct us, that you would guard our thoughts, our words, and our actions, and that we would conduct this business in a worthy manner here today. We just ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, Kelly, if we could get a roll call, please.
Commissioner Day,
Here.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Flower,
Present.
and Clerk to the Board Kelly Campbell.
Okay, audience introductions. We'll start with you, Gayla.
Bailey Day Wetmore.
Braden Wilson, Director of Finance and Insurance.
Bill Christie, Emergency Management.
And Jennifer Cree, admin to the board.
All right, thank you. And like we have a few people online as well. And if someone goes to speak at a later time, if you could please identify yourself for the record, I would greatly appreciate that. Any amendments to the agenda?
No, sir. No.
I would just note that I believe that we have two departments that have sent reports but will not be in attendance. That would be the airport and recycling. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have no minutes today. Commissioner items. Commissioner Kanda.
Maybe Jennifer, you ought to call these other guys since two of them are around.
I will.
Just real quick, I did make a couple calls looking for attorneys. And I have the new president of the Colorado Counties Association. I'll send you their phone number, but I'm going to call him. He's the Weld County attorney, is the president now. And so we'll pass that along, and I'll get a hold of him later and see what he suggests we do for a long term. Also did talk to one of the local guys here, Mike Desmond, and he's going to get back to me a little bit later. We'll see how that works out. Might be for part-time, for short term, and then I had a recommendation. I think we all did. You saw it in the email. That looked interesting. If you pull up your email, I think Tom had it and was sent in to all of us, guy in Salida, pronounced Salida, and that was from Buck Wenzel.
So that.
So, and then what else? That's it for now. If I think of something else, I'll let you know.
All right. You're the bar.
You said you were here.
Where do you want me to leave?
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
So we will retract that.
Yeah, I did reach out to Silver Cliff Mayor and asked if he had any ideas, and I forwarded on the response that he sent to me about former Judge Lama, who of course was our district court judge here in the 11th JD. So that I think what we ought to do is start a list of potential, or a list of names anyway, and I would think that
Pass them over to Jennifer.
we can
I'm sorry.
start recording that. but I need that as an agenda item later on, so I don't need to beat that up right now. And that's really all I have since yesterday.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. I would not have anything else to add since yesterday. To that, I thank you, gentlemen, for reaching out as you have to these individuals for that. So thank you very much, and we'll move forward on that.
I might interject just a couple of other things real quick just so you have knowledge of that. The variable message signs are back out this week. I expect them to probably be taken back down on Monday. I am in contact with CDOT about submitting another application for the permission to set those on the highway rights of way. Talked to Pepper Whitliff. She said, go ahead and put them out. She didn't have an issue with that. And she sent me the application and contact person to deal with getting a new contract put together with CDOT for those. So we're moving ahead with that. And I think Vernon may speak to that today when he comes in as well. But so I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer, do you have anything for us today?
Yes, sir.
All right. Making record time so far here. Public comment. If anyone has anything they'd like to comment on that is not on our agenda, please feel free to do so at this time. Don't see any hands raised there. Okay, staff reports. You are just in time. We have the airport up first.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good to see you.
Good to you. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Brian.
Sitting in for Bob McDonald, who did say he could not be here, so that's why I'm
That's where
here.
that came from.
Flexibility is your middle name.
So you get the B team. Yeah. First of all, our January fuel sales at the airport, in January, through month end, 333.8 gallons sold, total revenue, $2,086.25. We did not purchase any additional fuel, and we have 2387 on hand, 2387 remaining. Our 12,000 gallon fuel tank, the never ending saga there. We've lined up all the parts and pieces. We went back to the manufacturer. We Bob McDonald had to manufacture some steel plates, cut them, weld them, put them in. He and Al Avenue have plumbed the tank now. Had Matthews Electric up yesterday to look at the final, how do we connect the QT pod, which is the charging mechanism. And that's why Bob isn't here this morning, is he working on it? Yes. What did I say?
You said charging, but it could be electric because you were talking about.
Okay. Yes. When people try to pay for fuel, they use the QT system. And so how to hook up all the parts and pieces, and we have certified electricians on site working at. Once those parts and pieces are put together, the final electrical state inspector is going to come out. They wanted to see the tank energized before they signed off on it. Once we get that electrical sign off, then we will transfer fuel from the old tank to the new tank. And then once we have past the unusable, which is due to being a cylinder laying horizontally, there's a certain amount in the bottom of the tank that's unusable. Once we pass that, once we exceed that level, we're going to start pumping out fuel. We'll do our own internal test first, is a gallon. And then the state inspector is going to come in and make sure a gallon's a gallon when we charge for that.
Tell them what the old tank, how calibrated it was.
I believe it was like a tablespoon in 100 gallons or something. So we were selling with a high degree of fidelity out there.
Yeah.
Once all those consecutive miracles line up, then we should be able to start pumping fuel. I would not hazard a guess as when that will be because there's so many variables, outside agencies, inspections. Is the green wire the right shade of green for the state electrical on it? So, but we are on the right path. We're on the path to success there. And we believe that in the next few weeks, we're going to be able to sell out of the new tank.
Hey, you got your hose hooked up?
That's what Al and Bob worked on day before yesterday. So we have a new retractable reel for the grounding mechanism. We're starting out with everything being new. Instead of having a new tank with old components and then you're broken down and then you're not pumping fuel, we went ahead and utilized the gracious funding that the commissioners have extended to us through the O&M dollar plus up this year to make sure we have all the right components. So we start out with a new viable system. Little ad hoc, but I apologize. This is our Silver West Flyer newsletter, first edition. It's very sophomoric in terms of graphics, photos, and that sort of thing, but we hope to grow that. I sent Jennifer an electronic copy. It captures kind of what we've been doing over the last year and where we're going. Real briefly on the leasing process for the ground leases that the hangars are on out there. We've been asked by planning and zoning to take that over as a board. We have. We're trying to rectify several administrative faux pas from the past in terms of dates and times that are on the lease, who's actually on the lease, points of contact. And you will see in this letter that one of the key areas of focus on the lease is we're going to realign everyone over the next 18 months or so that everyone's hangar lease is due on January 1st, 2024. So we'll be prorating back and we're trying to, if we're going to take this on as a volunteer force out there, we are going to streamline the process to where it makes sense for everybody. Everybody knows their due date and what the amount is. We are also, every 5 years, according to our bylaws, we can adjust the lease rates. And what I forecast in this newsletter that's supposed to go out to all of our leaseholders out there is in 2024, we're going to anticipate a small lease increase per square foot from 8.5 cents to 10 cents a square foot. So that's being discussed, socialized, and be worked through the wickets, but that's just an early heads up as to where we think we're going to go with that. With that, I'd like to give you a quick update on our AWOS, the Automated Weather Observation Service out there, which has been a real plus. High winds broke off part of the antenna. We do have a maintenance contract. So if you call up the AWOS, you still get the information. If you're sitting on the ramp, you still get the information. But because of the degraded antenna performance, it doesn't reach out to inbound flyers. Unknown e-tick on that to get it fixed up, but we've contacted the maintenance provider to look at the antenna, and I ask our folks to ask the maintenance provider if we have if there's a more robust system so that we don't revisit this same challenge. I would encourage you to take a look at the AWOS camera system that we got installed out there. We got that gratis as part of an FAA program. That was a spinoff by attending the Division of Aviation meeting last January timeframe, where we learned of a program that you could get involved with the weather cameras. And if you go into weather, FAA.gov, and there's a search function, you can put in the Silver West Airport, and the feature has was on a clear day, what it should look like out toward the mountains. It has the range, distance, and time, and is, so that you can see what the current conditions, and that's in 4 different perspectives from the airport. So an inbound flyer can get in the pilot vernacular, we have what's called a PIREP, a pilot report, and then kind of humorously, we all refer to as a door rep, as you look out the door and see what's going on. So you can click on this link and get a door rep of what's actually happening at the airport. I would encourage you to take a look at that. The link's on the newsletter. We've been contacted by the Soaring Society of America, which has other groups here within the state, the name of which fails me right now, but what they would like to do is to post an antenna and a very small transmitter at the airport. They would hook into our 110, 120 volt system. It's very low amperage, very low wattage, and into our internet. And what this would provide them is when SOAR gliders come through, which I was happy to learn that the Stingrays are one of the key spots that they like to soar. This tracking information would say if they had lost an airplane, if it had gone down, it leaves breadcrumbs as to where they are. I would like to support that. I've been push that out to our other board members for their consideration. But it looks like low cost, low impact, and it could really serve a down flyer well.
Got an antenna you said with it?
It's a post antenna. It looked to be about 6 feet high. I have the description. I can forward it to you, but it's all paid for by the Soaring Society of America, all the equipment. Very low cost for us would be sharing a little internet and plugging into the wall, which I think we can cover that and help a potential flyer. What may grow out of that is my point of contact with the Soaring Society would like to host a soaring competition, and we would like to do that out at the Silver West Airport. We need to look at the berms on either side of the runway, the drop-offs on either side, the setback distances, 55-foot wide runway that we currently have. And our CIP, we are forecast trying to widen the runway. Some of the wingspans on these gliders is 65 feet. So we need to look at, the operational impacts and could it be possible, but it's another growth event for the airport and could be a real draw from the tourism aspect to come in and watch the soaring. That's all I have for today. Questions for me or?
Regarding your old fuel tank and presumably some sludgy stuff, are you going to be up against bureaucracy with emptying that and disposing?
To whom do I have the pleasure of
Oh,
speaking?
I'm sorry, Bill Christie with Emergency Management.
I would anticipate bureaucracy, yes. It's a part of our daily lives. There is an unusable amount of fuel in the bottom. We will work with the state on how to properly dispose of that. We do want to sell the old tank if at all possible. Maybe a rancher could use it for diesel or whatever. I've heard of, but don't have the details on a tank recovery program through the state. So we're going to explore all those options before we move the tank and dispose of it. If you have any ideas for us, we're happy to work together on that so that we do it in the right way.
Okay. Thank you. And I don't know if the local fire department can take some of those for a test burn or training or whatever.
We're going to have to explore all options there to dispose of it properly because there is a certain amount of unusable fuel in the bottom of that.
I've been a bureaucrat for 40 years, so I had to ask.
I might say too, because Vince just got to clean the tanks over at Road and Bridge. He would have the name of the company that came and did that because they had to dispose of the sludge that they pulled out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Might be valuable information for you if you could get that name from him.
All right, we'll go down that path as well.
Do you know Vince Cook?
I have not met him yet.
I'm setting up an appointment with you. I was gonna bring this up. Are you done for a minute? now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Vince is gonna come out and take a look at that lot level.
Okay.
And so you can get with him. I'll text you his contact stuff. And then you guys can work out when and how much and all that it's gonna take.
What
Yeah.
lot are they leveling?
just the lot right next to the ops building. Remember, I mentioned it yesterday, Tom.
It's concept exploration to go, what would it take to, just to the north of the main county building? What would it take to smooth that out, level it, and
Slope it into the
put,
running taxiway, so it's not a
put,
problem.
road base on the top of it, roll it and pack it down. That way, when we have our open house and have overflow airplanes and or vendors that might come out, we could either push the airplanes back on that and avoid some of the ramp congestion that we've seen.
Safety.
Bless you.
Well, that is feasible, looks good, and it's pretty simple. It looked like I looked at it. He'll want it staked. You guys will have to stake it out, so.
Sure. So we want to explore that concept and see if it's viable, and then that excavation work, if we ever did want to build another row of hangars or something, that'll already be done and level.
And may I, sir?
Yes. Go ahead.
Questions, thank you. So OT6 owns the hangar lot east of the building.
Negative.
They don't own anything.
I think you might be thinking of the Navajo Nation has an extended lease on a 200 by 200
Okay.
lot there. I think that's what it is.
They're using that in their minds as a warehouse. They don't want to put a hangar up. At least that's what they told me a year ago. So I haven't gotten back to him yet.
Okay, and that's
It's the Navajos.
yes, sir, and that utilization would be in conflict with our bylaws, which says if you're gonna erect a building or use something on the airport, it's for airplanes
Right.
and not for storage.
And that
So-
may incite them enough to,
That'll be a wicket to try to get through down the road if that ever comes up.
And then I see in the board packet, you may not be aware of this, that we have 2 QuickBooks pages from Mimco.
Yes, I just passed those receipts off
okay.
to Braden, and those are for the hose reel, the
Oh,
new
okay.
nozzle, and
Gotcha.
the grounding components to fix the tank.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, it didn't really explain what it was for, so.
Typical
Gotcha.
invoice, right?
Okay, and then one other question, if I may, in the newsletter, which I think is great, you guys are doing that. Can you talk to us about the Jet A status and potential grant?
Yes, sir. I've contacted Armstrong Engineering twice, and Armstrong sent out a BMP a few months back that was out of scope of what we have in terms of finances available. So I've contacted them twice with no response for 2 issues. One is to find a methodology to get the Jet A put in place with the budget that we have available and the matching grant dollars. And we also asked them to give us a timeline and their bid and proposals that they've received for the crack seal process. And if you remember, we were going to try to do that while the weather was cold, while the cracks are furthest apart, so that I have not heard back from them. And I also CC'd Division of Aviation on those same notes and asked them to come down, do a site survey and put us on the right path. So right now, it's all quiet from our 2 largest supporters on that, which would be Armstrong Engineering and Division of Aviation.
I did have a long talk with Armstrong before he did that. And then at the boss level, Chris Knox, and so they know what we're looking for, and they know that the bogey is to stick it on what we can afford and come up with the design.
Mhm.
So, and then I didn't remind them to make sure we did get the crack seal bids to the slide out bid and others, so that they can get it in time to do it while the cracks are bigger in March, whenever.
Well, I gave Heather Tom, our working level POC project engineer, I gave her 2 shots at answering me, and then I sent it to her boss.
That was the way to do it.
So we'll see, hopefully this week. If not, we'll keep engaged. What other questions might you have for me?
That's it.
I have one more comment on the gliding thing's a big deal. Back when the airport was out here headed east and west, they because the winds were prevailing east and west, and they would have rope winch and gliders in those days, or pull them with a car. And they would set records here to 30,000 feet, and they'd go cross country and way north of Wyoming, some of those deals. They love this area. So what happened, why they quit was because when the airport moved out there with the berms like they were, it was too bad, and the turmoil, the turbulence off of those berms are too much for them. They decided to knock it off. So I think with what we've done, and maybe using part of the runway instead of the whole thing, you don't need a lot of runway unless they screw up and need the berms. But anyway, I think that's good to pursue because that's a big deal. Brings a lot of people in.
Well, we've invited this gentleman, Jonathan Gillis, to come down, brief the board on exactly what they want to do with the equipment and also do a site survey. I know we cut the berms back a few years ago and to see if that's going to meet their needs, and, you know, it's concept exploration.
Yeah. It's a good deal.
The final thing for me, I suppose, would be, and miss this, is we have those radio control flyers that are out there. They come out, sit on the ramp, get their lawn chairs out and have lunch. And it is our intent to revoke their ability to use the ramp in that way. And the reason is safety. I've observed them personally running their RC airplanes underneath a Citation jet and a Falcon jet out there. And the last thing we need is a radio control airplane going through the wing or of one of these huge business jets. They've caused conflict and impact. So we're going to work with them to try to, number one, their operating agreement is going to be revoked, and two, look for a better way to help them enjoy their hobby, but it won't be on the main ramp.
There's lots of places.
Yeah, I would think one of those taxiways by the T hangars might be.
That's exactly what we're thinking is head off to the North 40 there and fly over the grass instead of the runways and hangars and people's airplanes.
Good job.
Other
Thanks.
questions? Okay, thank you for your time.
Okay. Coming in, good to see you. See you.
Shoot you, Vincent's contact.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next item up would be the landfill.
Bye, Brian. Take care.
So it's legit.
Morning.
How are you? Good. How are you?
Doing fine. Morning, sir.
Oh, coming.
Oh,
Brian.
my God.
Yeah, charge shift one for you guys.
Yeah. Great.
Slip with the razor. What happened?
Oh, yeah. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for sending us your stuff. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So yeah, I just sent you the totals for 2022. You know, at the end of this year, we'll be able to kind of get more of a grasp on how that rate increase really, you know, changed how much money we're bringing in.
Mhm.
So yeah, basically pretty brief. Got the fourth quarter report for 2022 sent. The annual stormwater and waste fire reports have been sent to the state. And then, of course, just the money that needs to be transferred from the general fund to that's kind of recycles and also the landfill expansion.
Right.
And so also to bring up the landfill expansion fund, that fund, I think it's got about 40-some thousand in it, give or take. That was set for the landfill to do whatever with, correct? That's what Rusty's intention was. Do you know? I mean, I don't know exactly. I could ask Rusty, but I know there's 40 grand in it and it was set for, you know, expansion, whether it's tools.
Was it flagged separately? Did you talk to Brady?
Yes, it is.
It is. It's got its
Yeah,
own.
I thought our conversation was
Pretty
to
straight.
assist in this. Truly expanding the landfill to the area landfill.
Correct.
So fees, permits, engineering, well,
Right.
that was my
Okay.
perception.
Mine too.
Because the whole conversation when you guys did that was how much it was gonna cost for the expansion and
How we were gonna-
how we're gonna fund it. So, hey, let's put this in there,
Right.
at least did a little bit of fun.
Gives them
So, yeah,
money to drill a well in a different spot.
Correct, yeah, okay,
And it looks like, I read this correctly, we had 13,000 cubic yards.
Correct.
1,300, oh, I'm sorry, 13,000 cubic yards of commercial, which was $1 per.
right,
So, and then, so that's the expansion transfer, right?
correct, along with Dionisio,
And,
metal and iron,
oh,
because that comes from the landfill, it does not come from Custer County Recycles.
right,
So that also goes into the expansion.
oh, it does.
Mhm.
Oh, I guess I wasn't aware of that.
So at some point, we'll have to, make the resolution. In the upcoming months to make that happen.
yeah, and I can't remember. If we changed that last year, did we do it as a resolution?
We did it as a
or
resolution.
fund Transfer.
I think as a resolution.
That's what,
So
that's
then
his
get
normal,
with Braden.
yeah.
And
Okay.
with the amount, and then he can do the resolution,
Okay, perfect.
and then it'll go on the agenda.
Okay.
Be approved.
Were you guys aware that scrap metal was also going to?
I believe that was part of the conversation
Yeah, I
last time we
didn't
talked
remember
about
that,
that.
so we'll need to include that.
Right,
It should be in that, there was two things,
It
it
was.
seems like, and it should be in that resolution that we did. I think I gave. you
Yeah, and
that resolution. didn't
previously, the recycling was going into that fund as well, but now
Right.
it will go into Custer County Recycles.
Yeah.
So, and that's,
Oh, maybe I've misunderstood now. So Dionisio's, which really we mean recycled metals,
right,
going into recycle or going into expansion?
goes into expansion,
Okay,
because that's the landfill side.
Right.
Of.
Right. okay,
People bring it to the landfill
right.
and get rid of it for free, basically.
Yeah, so if somebody pulled in there with a pickup with nothing but metal in it, they just tell Jamie, hey, this is
Correct.
scrap metal, and he doesn't charge him for that. Okay.
No. Unless there's some circumstances where if that thing is full. Or getting full, and somebody brings a trailer load in, then we might have to charge it if they want to dump it in the back for us to eventually put it in.
Pick it up later.
Because then it costs us money to,
Right, pay
But
for
for normal
it.
circumstances,
Correct.
just to throw it in.
Normal
there.
correct.
Or part of its appliances like.
Yeah, they start-
fridges and stuff like.
They
that.
start adding up, and we'll get another roll off this summer, and like we did last summer. Piggyback a roll off, and then we'll,
And you want to talk to us about the transfer of funds from general fund back to recycling?
what do you mean?
Chavano,
So, yeah, Chabonneau, that's that 13,789.
Got list in there.
That will have to be. there you go.
Okay, I'm on a different, sorry, let me pull
Yeah,
that up. I was just on a different sheet.
so, so the 2022 recycling was just cardboard. We didn't have any commodities other than cardboard. So that will get transferred into Custer County Recycling.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, everything that comes from either Angel, Chavano, or whoever. Whoever takes the cardboard and the cans and the steel cans. That will also be deposited into Custer County Recycles. Wherever that sits in the general fund or,
Right,
you know.
right.
wherever.
Yeah, so this 13,789 was the sale of recyclables last year that did not get credited to
Correct.
the recycle account because it didn't exist at the time.
Correct,
And so you're recommending we transfer that money out of general fund back to recycle.
back to recycles. That's my recommendation. Now, I don't know if that's something that needs
Don't
to
have to,
be,
because it didn't exist then.
yeah.
It's-
Custer County Recycles right now has no commodities. Well, they got commodities out there, but they have no.
Revenue.
No revenue
Right.
whatsoever.
So
So that would help them
that would
out,
help them
Absolutely,
grub stake them.
right?
definitely, yeah, so.
Instead of it going into the expansion fund, I'm deciding it should go into Custer County Recycles,
Right,
to
Right. yeah,
get them going. Help get the ball rolling, to where they can. Get some more revenue coming in.
You get your bales dried out and sold.
No, there's still what we count, 33 bales.
Yeah, more than that.
Yeah, there's more than that out there. So I don't know, Tim, I don't know if his staff reports today or not. I don't know if
It
he's.
is today. He's not gonna be here, so we
Oh.
can't ask him questions, but I talked with him a little bit yesterday.
So, yeah, we can find out what, where he's thinking as far as. Where we want to get rid of those bales, if we want to get rid of them, if we want to wait, I mean, I don't know what his idea is, but. I'm sure he's got some plan.
It doesn't mention.
Again, that's recycles, not landfill stuff.
That recycles not right. So, yeah. Other than that, I mean, we're just filling trench G. Right now, and hopefully. They'll get us till June. And hopefully we'll get a scraper in April
Yes.
or May and dig the second trench.
Most you were closed Tuesday. Was the wind pretty nice?
We were closed Saturday.
Or Saturday, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
Saturday. Yeah. It was dusty and then,
It was gusty.
yeah. It's better it's unfortunate to close, especially on Saturday because people
They're driving.
That's their day to
That's why. I
come
know.
out.
People were asking me.
But it was just getting too dangerous.
I had a little conversation, if I may, sir, with Brian yesterday. About the possibility of the county purchasing a scraper. If nothing else, I almost added for the next 4 or 5 years. When we dealing with these trenches, dealing with that area landfill, moving topsoil. I just wonder if we should at least explore the idea of buying a scraper. Either long-term or buying it for X number of years and with the intent of turning around and selling it again when we get this area landfill in. I don't know. I just would like to move that discussion up on the table and see if it has any merits.
Get the data and we can discuss it.
Yeah, I think
Just
there's,
get the costs.
of course, pros and cons both. We talked about that a little bit, but to have the accessibility of a scraper when we want and need it, I think would be a pro. And then also, I just think over the next 5 years, we're gonna log a lot of hours on a
If
scraper
we're digging a big hole, we will need.
Well,
and transporting material.
and also we're running into, well, we haven't had an issue yet because I haven't heard from the state regarding the area landfill. But it has not been approved yet.
Right.
I talked to Van Smith, who's with WSP, which is Golder. I don't know if WSP is transforming in from Golder. I'm not exactly sure, but anyway. I talked to him and he says, yeah, they're overdue on giving us,
Mhm.
whether we need to address some issues with it but anyway, the problem that we're gonna have is right now with the material I've got sitting on the third trench that we dug from the first trench. If we can't get into the area landfill, we're gonna have to move all that material, dig the second trench and dig the third trench this year, because the second trench isn't gonna get us through
Right.
next winter.
So what'd they tell you?
He says we just have to wait and see what Jill, hopefully she'll respond.
She responded earlier when you brought this up before and it sounded positive.
They responded to the trenches and we got the approval to start filling the
We can
trenches.
dig the trenches, right?
We can dig the trenches.
Yeah.
We just haven't gotten that,
And
not on the area land.
Not on the area, so.
And from our conversation, it sounds like most likely we're gonna have to get into that area landfill. At least to get started on it, and then probably dig the third trench, huh?
That was my initial
That was
plan
the plan.
because we have no room to stockpile material. We're just,
Without.
then you were gonna take a lot of that
Your
to cover
excess
the
spoil
land.
in the area landfill, and then when you burned it up, then you could dig that.
dig the third.
And you were gonna take the landfill or the area fill on top of that third trench, weren't you?
No, so the third trench,
Some of it,
all the material that we dug from the first trench is sitting on.
waiting
third
for
trench.
to cover the third trench after.
So what we want to do is use the material on the third trench to cover the first, the second, and then some of the area fill.
Right,
And once it's gone, then we'll dig it. I mean, that was the initial plan. And we'll have to wait and see what, I mean, what the state says, and hopefully we hear back soon.
And I don't know, I would assume a lease purchase would be
Yeah.
available on a used scraper. I don't know that. Certainly it would be on a new one, but on a used one.
Sure, I don't know, that's a good question.
And in all transparency, we talked about it, but I'm not sure where Brian shakes out on that, whether he would support that idea or not. I just want to get that conversation up on the
We
table.
can do that at some point,
Right,
get it on the agenda.
You know, and I think if that's something we were going to do, it probably needs to be done this year so that we can take advantage of having a machine.
right. Well, I think we'll wait and see. I'll see if I can get a hold of Jill and find out.
When
I
it'll
talked
be
to Dan, and if we can get in the area fill, we still have to scrape the top, but not the whole thing. We can do it in sections.
Right.
Dan told me that's the plan, was to do it in sections. But you still have to scrape it. You still have to get the CQA survey done. And they have to approve the survey after you've scraped all the topsoil. Before you
On a
can,
section of it,
on the section of it.
let's say a fourth of it or.
Yeah, 500 feet, whatever. So there's still a huge process, you know, in getting that approved to put trash in. I
How long's the third trench
think it's 560 feet.
and the G and H?
They're 370, I think. So we'll wait and see. Hopefully I hear back from her soon, and then we can kind of plan this.
We'll be back in a month.
Summer.
We'll be
Yeah,
talking to you
yeah.
before then.
You'll touch base with Braden Braden on the transfer.
Yes, I will go see if he's over there today.
Thanks.
Very good, sir. While I was out there yesterday, I want to compliment Brian and his staff, man, given these stinking winds we've had, given the circumstances of the filling that G trench or
The trench behind
was our
the
G.
last- G was our last one, yeah. Landfill looks great. They have done a super job of picking that stuff
Appreciate it.
up.
Yeah,
Guys doing a good job.
always everyday deal.
Yeah.
Way it goes.
All right,
Some days
good.
more than another.
Got something more now.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
See you. Thanks.
Thank you, buddy.
Alrighty.
See you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Are we done? Can we go? Oh, gosh, we got. Hey,
We do have a report from recycling though. Yeah, I think she just wanted to come in and say hi.
What?
We're
Just
talking.
picking on you.
I know.
We're gonna do, well, let's do this and do.
Yeah, you're here. Let's go ahead and do human services and then we'll come back to recycling. We have their report. but
Sooner we can get her out of here, the better.
I can,
Oh, you heard that? Sorry,
Last time I have to be here is just okay with me, you know, I don't know what else to say about that, you know, yeah, well. Yeah. Go
well,
back.
good morning. I don't
Good
think I
morning.
said that. I just shook your hand.
No, I get out of here so I can go fight with the state
Yeah.
again, I'm telling you.
put your boxing gloves back on.
Oh. Yeah,
Okay, there. Gives them something to do. It's all right.
yeah,
Smile.
well, no, it's not okay, it's
Yeah.
not okay. We spend more time doing stuff.
But what's new?
What's new? What is new? Well, if you look at December's food benefits, you will see that we added quite a few households in the month of
Yeah, I
December.
should say so.
Yeah,
So while we're on that, for about the 100th time,
Mhm.
SNAP stands for.
Supplementary Nutrition Assistance Program.
Thank you.
And the SNAP, we've been doing full benefits to everybody for the past two years. Those benefits or those additional benefits are coming off the end of February, the end of this month. The state has put out, they're being very on top of it. They have put stuff out on the news. They are sending letters out. We have hung up posters. We have sent stuff to both newspapers. We're getting it on the radio just to let people know. But they're sending out notices, and of course, people are coming in going, what is this trying to tell us? Because it's very confusing, because they get a notice that says they're gonna get $50 a month, and then they get one that says they're gonna get $281 when we were doing the supplement. They never know. So now, when we're telling them you're no longer gonna get the supplemental benefits, they want to know how much well, what benefits am I gonna get? Well, I don't know, because we're gonna have to look to see what you would normally get. So then we start that conversation. So yes, we are going to,
Do it on a case by case.
A case by
So They
case.
gotta come in after it happens,
well, they don't have to come in, they don't have to do anything. It's just that they're
if they wanna know.
yeah, they're calling us wanting to know exactly what it is. And so then we're trying to explain. So it was the first, what you get at the beginning of the month, that's what you're gonna get. Well, oh my gosh, I can't live on that. Well, that's what you're gonna get. So, yeah, no, it is going to be chaotic. We're just gonna get bombarded with questions and stuff about that, and it's already started. So yeah, we're gonna have a good time about the March, well, from now through March on that. So, and then, yeah, these are my December since, so they're pretty much the same thing, unless you guys have any questions about any of them. Just the normal reports that we do.
Colorado Works.
Yes, yeah, that's our TANF, temporary assistance for needy families. And we're also seeing, we've had more applications on that than we've had before too. People are out of work and stuff. Yeah, we're just seeing. Another thing that I'm seeing a lot of applications on is our 2 grants for emergency assistance. And so we're seeing a lot of people, they're getting high electric bills, high propane bills. So we're having them come in for that. Energy Outreach has set aside a certain amount of money for Black Hills. They are out of money right now until the 4th quarter. So anybody that's Black Hills, we cannot help now. Unless I use my community service block grant, which I am doing, and I have money in that, so I'm doing that. But yeah, Black Hills, the Energy Outreach called me or emailed us and said, do not take any more applications for Black Hills because we don't have the funds there. They get their funds quarterly, which is a really weird thing, and they disperse them to us quarterly because we're like, why can't you just give us the whole thing? Right now, I only have $1,000 left in my Energy Outreach until the 4th quarter. So I just have to watch that. And if it's Black Hills, I can't even do it. So I use my CSBG grant for that, which makes me think I have a CSBG thing that we need to get a check printed for. Let's see. CFAB food has been sparse, and I can't remember what we're going to get this month. We haven't been getting a lot of stuff, and then they sent me tons of fresh produce that I cannot use in that turnaround time, and it's a mess. And I've asked them to please stop sending that to me. But if I can't use it, I'll take it down to Care and Share. They'll take it because they have the refrigeration. Because it's a lot, and they're sending me a lot of fresh produce that I don't have storage for. So I've been sending it down to them, and they're fine with it. They'll take it, and people are still getting it, so that's working. But yeah, and they send the weirdest things. I got seven cabbages. 7.
Well, maybe there would be 7 people that could use.
Oh, well,
it.
and let me tell you, this one woman was upset because she didn't get a cabbage. Well, I first come, first serve. I'm sorry, only 7 cabbages. Okay. Yeah.
Make sauerkraut without cabbage.
I know. I don't know.
So the T on temporary emergency food assistance program,
Uh-huh.
temporary to who? The state, temporary to the people? Are they only supposed to be on it so long? or-
No, it's just it's kind of like a supplement. It's just, they just call it temporary, just
So somebody could be on it for.
Oh, yeah.
Many years.
we have people that come in every month. And we have our regulars that come in every month. And they tell me, yeah, this is really helpful to us, so, and that's fine. That's why it's there. So, okay, my big thing was, did you guys get the merit system, county merit system? Mhm.
You did.
It's a standard thing, and so I just need a signature. I know you're excited about that.
And can you give us a brief definition of what that's all about?
This is just saying that years ago, we had a merit system, and the state set our salaries and stuff. And that was done and then it went away. And so now we have to make sure that the salaries that we are doing are equitable and adequate compared to everybody else in the state. You know, and of course, we look at, you get up in Denver County with the higher cost of living and stuff, so it all breaks down. But that, the system provides for retaining employees. You assure fair treatment of applicants and employees. You don't discriminate.
And do we sign this or do you sign it?
No, you sign
That's
this.
one signature for.
Yeah.
From the
It just
board.
doesn't say whose. So I would move that we
Oh, I might keep going.
certify
Yeah, you can do
the
that.
county merit system.
That needs to,
It's a certificate of compliance, said. For the merit.
this needs to say yes in that little box right there. I'm so sorry.
For 2023.
I'll say,
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor then to sign the PDHS certification of compliance for the year 2023. Any further discussion on that?
There's a couple blanks need to be filled in the box check
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to check the yes
You're
box,
supposed to check that box.
and that will be Custer County. Hearing no further discussion. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Laura, if you can just throw a copy of my desk.
I'll throw a copy on your desk.
Wrap it in concrete and you throw it in there, will you?
No, I'm only gonna do that. She's sitting there.
Oh,
I was gonna
okay.
say, it makes me not sitting there.
Yeah.
My aim is good, which it probably would be.
Right.
so I have a concern
Okay,
or question,
question, okay.
and it's been bothering me for a while.
Oh, okay,
Is.
that's not, it's best to get it out.
Yes, it is. All these good programs to help people
Mhm.
eat, get
Uh-huh,
cabbages and all that.
yeah,
Is there any attempt to, right now, I've talked to a lot of contractors, they can't get anybody to work.
mhm.
Are there able-bodied people that are not wanting to work and are just taking this stuff? Do you work, thought came to mind. Would it be worth having a list from the contracting world, the business world of this county? Here's jobs needed. People.
You know, it wouldn't hurt because
I think that might be part of the job of.
Because
services, to
we-
get them to-
we have people, and some of these people work, or some of them are on,
Maybe not on a good enough job.
Well-
There's lots of jobs.
yeah. But it wouldn't hurt because we always, people say that they're looking for jobs. We would be more than happy to
See
say,
that,
these people are hiring. And we
right,
can send them
so
your way.
it seems, I don't know who can do that, but maybe somebody in your office can. And I can get you lots of names of contractors, and so can the Dorothy, for example, and
No,
septic world. And
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Building and.
Sure, I
so
mean, we
think
can-
that'd be worth
we can
having.
have a list in there and, because, when people,
Contractors need to know, they don't know, I can't find anybody,
yeah,
and they don't know where to go,
and people are going, yeah, we're looking for a job. We haven't been able to find one.
right? And
So, yeah,
Seems
okay.
like that would be worthwhile, or
Yep.
it'd be a great. Community service you're doing for the people to do better than just get a head of cabbage and then go boil it up and then wait for the next handout.
Yeah, yeah. And like our food benefits and stuff, but people on those, most of the people are working. They're just
But
not,
they're not working enough.
yeah,
It's
they're
not a
not-
good enough
no.
job, or it's
Yeah.
just a.
it's, or it's a,
part-time.
it's a part-time.
And sometimes they want it that way.
well, it's part-time, and people who work in the restaurant, I am seeing more applications come in from food assistance from people that work in the restaurants right now, because it's slowed down. It's
Yeah.
winter time.
Oh, yeah.
And they,
Hear that.
so they're not working as many hours, they're not having as many people coming in, so we see that.
Yeah.
It's that time of year for one thing too, but yeah, no, that's, I think that's a good idea. If we could get a list of,
Get a
if anybody,
living list that's constantly being updated and wanted. And in the cities, they go down to wherever they stand on the corner, just waiting for somebody to come by and pick up temporary labor. You don't want them congregating outside
oh, well, let's,
of Chappie's.
they used to do that, yeah.
Yeah.
way back when, in the Depression area, they would
Right,
stand out there.
Out there and wait for somebody to come pick them up.
Come pick them up. They fought for a position there, yes.
But you got a lot of people coming and going out of there for a lot of things. And
Yeah.
the people coming into the clerk's office to get licensed and stuff, maybe signs the same. I don't know. Just.
I don't know. Okay, we'll see what we can come up with. We also work with workforce. Oh, that makes me think. We also work with workforce. And so they're trying to be more proactive in Custer County, which I think would be good. So I have a meeting with them sometime. So we can talk
Sure.
about that.
Even you could hire somebody, you could need somebody to drive somebody somewhere sometime, certify them, whatever, part-time.
Not me, I don't do
Not
that.
you, what I mean is,
No, I don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that.
If I may, don't necessarily have to come to fruition today, but I want to bring this up as well. When the county agreed to purchase a vehicle for your department, it was the understanding that we would get reimbursed.
Yes.
From the state.
Yes,
Has that, or will that happen?
it's been happening
Has
as
it?
far as I know.
I don't see that. That's why I'm asking.
See, it comes in the lump, because every month I put in for it. And I do it when I request funding request reimbursement for all of the stuff that we do. And then it comes into
so who separates it put it in the general fund or wherever it needs to be reimbursed?
well, that's a good question, because
Braden probably doesn't know that's the deal.
I thought that. Well, Donna, when John was bookkeeper, John was posting it to where it needed to go. Then with the new system, I saw Braden said, I thought Braden was doing it. No, he told me Virginia's doing it.
She should, it's revenue.
Yes, so it's revenue. So I said, so who's posting those? And he said, well, that would be Virginia. So I don't know. So what you're saying is there a thing that says vehicle reimbursement or something?
Right,
I
can you
mean,
track
I don't
that?
know.
And when will we know that has been reimbursed 100%?
Okay,
I thought it was over a 3 or 5 year period.
It's 5.
I
it's
couldn't
5
remember.
years and we've only had it.
And you're requesting that annually or monthly? That's the
Monthly.
reimbursement you do.
I request it monthly. It goes
Because it
in,
goes with all your other.
it goes in with all of my other requests. And so it's being put into that bundle.
So you broke that down on the monthly.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I assumed it would be an annual thing, but.
No, it's a monthly thing. We put it in monthly. And so I send it in every month, and it's like $500 and some per month that we should be getting reimbursed for.
When that start?
We did that. I'm trying to think.
So maybe that's why we had a.
Yeah, we
plus that
did it
couldn't
in-
account for.
I thought we did it in 20. But I'd have to,
Well, yeah, maybe it'd be 3 years this summer.
yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, I just wanted to
But
follow
yeah,
up on that.
yeah.
First time we've had this conversation.
Yeah,
About
because,
the vehicle.
yeah, because it should be, because I'm putting it in for reimbursement. And so it comes in that lump
Okay,
that we get, and it's supposed to be broke out.
and who's in charge of making sure that vehicle's serviced on time? Is that you or somebody else in your office or?
Oh, we have a book that we keep track of when we have we write down where we go. I mean, we have
I'm
a.
talking about getting the oil changed. And the
Yeah,
tires
and
rotated.
so we look at that, and they said to get the oil changed. I thought it was 3,000 miles. Now they said 5.
Right,
So you're working with Vince on his checklist.
Yeah. And so we take it down there, and then we have them check it out and do the oil change and all of that good stuff. Yeah. And we track that. We have a book. We write down everything in the book.
yeah, I've seen your book. This
Yeah.
is the first time we've had this discussion in a commissioner meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
But yeah, it's, I do it monthly just so that we have it.
nice.
Yeah, and then it just comes in a month, but it could be because it just comes in with that lump sum that it's going into the pot.
Right. Yeah, it'd be nice.
It'd be nice because
From my perspective, if your budget could show, we've got
we got this much money back on that.
$50,000 reimbursed
Right.
on that vehicle, so the
So-
commissioners can say, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, okay. Well, yeah, that'd be nice to know,
We
wouldn't
can
it?
say it.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
Be nice
okay.
to say it.
It would be nice to say, okay. Yeah, the new system coming in about that time where everything was just,
Right,
yeah.
okay, thank you.
Me even gets some reports is just like, oh my gosh. So, yeah. So, but we'll see what we can find. Break that out for you. Okey dokey, guys.
Okay, get the heck
Oh, you
out
did
of
give me,
here.
oh, you did give that to back to me, didn't you?
You can leave.
Oh, good, okay.
Completely filled out.
Oh, good.
Take your day now.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. We'll see you later.
Okay.
Have a good one. Okay.
Well, if you guys are good, we'll just go ahead and keep going on the people that are
Keep
here.
going, we can do-
Put the recycle in when we get it back.
Whenever we
Well,
get-
sir.
Good morning.
Buddy.
Well, thank you.
See you.
Good morning, sir.
I see you've grown a little bit since I saw you last.
I hope not. At this point in life, you throw sideways instead of up, and that's,
Very
Thank
simple, that.
you.
sometimes I feel like I'm shrinking because I have to duck so much. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, how are
How's
you?
it going?
Going well? Going well.
So what do you got going? Anything new?
Well, the biggest thing, so I put the newest projects in red there. The biggest project that we're working on right now is the Tyler conversion for the for Fremont Dispatch. We're moving away from the Omnigo system, which is the computer-aided dispatch and incident tracking for the sheriff's office. We are moving away from Omnigo and to the Tyler system, which is a lot more involved and has a lot more functionality, but it's going to be a lot of work in the conversion process. We've scheduled a year for that.
Pays for that.
Sheriff's office is going to be paying for their portion of the Fremont Dispatch payment. But we have taken on the GIS conversion of that is going to be huge. So
And that's the county gonna pay for the actual conversion or?
I don't know who's paying for the,
That started somewhere else. then.
I don't know the answer to that. The conversion, the cost is going to be covered by the sheriff's office, but the conversion work on the GIS is going to fall on.
It's gotta go.
You're doing it.
You'll have to do it.
So we're paying it. We're
Yes.
paying for that, right?
Yep.
Sheriff's office is. Your
No.
labor? That's what he said. That's
No,
how he
no,
said
no,
it.
that's not, I don't know the answer to that. This is just part of my
So that
job,
would be
so
something
it's,
to
this is just part of my
figure
job,
out
so
how
I
to-
just,
Whose budget it falls in.
gotcha. Don't know the answer to that, we'll have to have a conversation, but it's a big project. Probably at least 3 months worth of work over the next year, so. And it'll give us a lot more functionality. It will allow us to track sheriff's vehicles wherever they are in the county. Dispatching it will be the same on the front end, the same services, but more functionality on the back end. So
And Tyler's a brand name just like Omnigo.
Tyler is a massive data processing organization. They could, for instance, Q Public that the assessor uses. Tyler does something similar. Tyler works with computer-aided dispatch.
Is that a
So-
company or is that a name of the
That's a-
product?
That's a company. Yeah, it's a company.
Okay,
So that's something that I'm working with Fremont Dispatch and Fremont GIS. They've got 5 guys that are dedicated to just GIS, and so it's going to be a process. And now, if there's some budget issues that come up, we are looking at some new hardware that's going to have to be installed. So part of that process. So when that arises, I will come to you. We had an onboarding meeting and then a technical meeting yesterday, and it was quite involved. So I will keep you all updated on that process. It'll be an adventure.
Yeah.
So the emergency operations plan, incident management plan for cybersecurity, that is ongoing. I've been working on the emergency operations annex, which is basically a subsection of the emergency operations plan for cybersecurity. That's been a huge part of my life for the last couple months, and I'll be working with. I am working with the state and the
we'll be working with Fremont Emergency Manager and IT guys. Probably collaborate with them next week and figure out some a good path forward.
How not to do what they did,
What's that?
how not to get in the trouble they did.
Well, when you put everything in one central location, it makes it's an easy target.
Yeah.
We have, over the last year, we have decentralized a lot of our data. So if one area is targeted, we have multiple redundant backups. And so hopefully things are isolated. I'll be working with the state to do some in-house testing where they put some software on our servers and say, okay, where can we go if somebody accidentally downloaded some phishing stuff or something, or malware or Trojan viruses, that type of thing. So that's part of the collaboration with the state. MSISAC is a free, it's an entity that works with all government agencies to increase cybersecurity, and that's free. So that's really nice for us. So, excuse me, new computers for the SO. We have the replacements. We have some new mobile computers we're going to be installing on cars. So a lot of projects, a lot of work involved.
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Mobile fingerprinting system.
So
Is there a company, or are we buying something specific? Because the reason I'm asking, I've been over there, gotten fingerprinted. And it's a very touchy system.
yes, it is.
Very, to get a print that'll be accepted is dicey. So doing this, how accurate is it from the mobile point of view? Is it worth the money?
So it's actually through the same entity. We're working with Colorado Bureau of Investigation, which that fingerprinting machine has a VPN tunnel directly to CBI. And what we're creating is a mobile system to do the same thing. So if someone is arrested and isn't giving a correct name, we can run fingerprints and be mobily connected to CBI and see what we get back that way. Also identifying the dead. That was part of the process. If the person doesn't have identification.
Yeah, I was just wondering what the success rate is when they try to do it, because if you're doing that, the guy's standing out there drunk and they're holding him up.
Right. I couldn't speak to the
It
success.
just seems like
success
it
rate.
may not work right.
And cold people with cold fingers, sometimes that throws it off. We like to believe that fingerprinting is an exact science, and it is, but it can take months to get legit results back. But this will streamline that process.
And mobile, you mean in sheriff's office vehicles?
In sheriff's office vehicles, yeah. I believe that we're getting 2 mobile systems that are being donated to us. And it's
Not used, are they?
I believe that they were surplus, but not used.
Not used.
Yeah. So our job is to create the mobile connection to CBI, which is involved.
Good.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay. All right.
I think I'm good.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
Good, sir. Thank
That was
you.
quick and easy. Yes. Thank you. Be well.
I can't wait for somebody to hit you with a hard one.
Did you want?
Well, top of the morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hello, Vince.
Hello.
Things in the new world.
That's not quite so close to the.
Have you been listening to this meeting?
Parts of it, not all of it.
In the last 6 or 7 minutes?
Talking about Laura,
Yes,
I received money, that's my job.
I know. Exactly what I want to ask you about.
But do you know it's segregated? Is the question.
What
Do
we
you know what
get,
part was the reimbursement part of what she's been getting from her?
what
for
we
that
get,
card?
when this, well, I don't know, it's not separated out, we get a lump sum from the state. And we put it in one settlement, I don't know, they have certain names, and No, we don't get a
You
breakdown.
don't get a breakout, so we don't know what amount should be going into the county to do reimbursement for the car.
I wonder if Laura, if she has to send a report to the
She's
state,
got it.
maybe she's
She's
got
got
it.
the
and,
report, she's got it, and she's,
It's
put in.
separate.
Yeah,
then we can take it out of that lump sum that comes in. Somehow. Once we know how much it has to be transferred.
yeah, you guys would have to talk to Braden about
I know,
that part,
that's what
yeah.
I mean, once we know.
We just receive what comes into the
Right.
bank. And it's, one of them's called settlement county admin and another one's
Sure.
just called county admin
From Laura's department.
from the state of Colorado, and it goes to Laura's department when we receive it. I can give you
Good to
some
know.
receipts if you want to look at them.
No, that sounds like something Braden and Laura need to get together on. If she knows how much she put in, you got to check for that amount that
Well,
month.
it's not a check, it's just a wire.
Why?
And that amount wouldn't
And it would,
show separately. It's in a total
And
amount.
it's
Let's
just
say
a-
it's $12,000.
And then they would
Yes.
know that Laura said 1,000 was for the car. And
yeah.
then Braden can go and pull it and put it in the right account.
Most of it's like 22,000, one's like 3,000.
Yeah,
something. It's
whatever.
just- Yeah.
Okay,
Are you gonna ask or you gonna force somebody else to ask?
okay, so what's new here? I'll beat it.
Well, the only thing that's kind of off is my 99 collection account. And we're getting that fixed, so Braden and I are working on fixing that. That's the only thing that's.
What is collections holdings?
That's our, when we take a payment,
Mhm.
it goes in there.
Right.
And then when we distribute it to the entities, it goes out of
So it
there.
should all balance out. It shouldn't show.
It shouldn't show a
what should
negative.
in the negative, right?
Yep.
Got it.
We're fixing it.
And for the record, your job is to receive money.
Yep. It is. That's what it says.
Outside of that,
Nothing else.
There you
Mm-mm.
nope, not gonna do that.
He loves money.
Loves not spending it.
Nah, that's all right.
Well, then we got a problem.
Yeah, we do.
By law, we have to spend every dime we take in. We get in trouble by the guys giving it to us, the taxpayer.
So you're showing these, let's use attainable housing, for example. So you show a running total in their account. Which in a way I think is kind of weird.
As
The same
in,
with, tourism, all of those other 5 or 6 accounts down there at the bottom.
But she's not.
The only way those numbers change is if they make a deposit,
right,
correct?
correct, or take a.
Yeah,
out
or
of it.
do a disbursement.
Yeah, and there's, health insurance is actually a debt account. We used to, in our office, take care of health insurance. We would receive the money, we would pay it out.
Mhm.
And when CIC took over, that's no longer the case. But when the auditors were here last year, I had asked what we could do with that health insurance money because it needs to,
Yeah, it needs
Get
to be
cleared out.
Right.
and they had so many other issues going, they didn't even
something.
Yeah, I
like
wonder
that.
if that could
get into it. So this year I'm going to ask again.
Right.
It might not be so bad this year, hopefully. Pray that it's not going to be.
I wonder.
There's
if
no
that
reason
could
to keep
go
it
into
there at any
contingent
time.
Fund, or
What's that?
if we could move that into the contingent fund.
That's what my question is to the auditors, where it would go. Most likely, he'll probably say county general.
See, the contingent fund itself is a question. It doesn't do anything except sit there.
Well, it's supposed to be there, though. It has to be
Sorry,
there.
right, yeah.
Bless you.
So that's something that Braden can figure out.
What's that?
Moving that health insurance.
Well, we have to get the auditors in on that. He can't just do it.
That's my point. You can still talk to him, can't you?
Yeah, well, we were there together,
Hmm.
Braden and I, and we were talking about it, but like I said, that there was so much going on last year, that
Ah.
just didn't address it.
Good.
Well, I move we have to accept your report. Do you want us to?
Sure.
I move we accept your report.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor to accept the treasurer's report for the month of December 2022. Any further discussion? All right. Those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
I
Motion carried.
wonder what a no vote would that do.
Just that would
Wouldn't change the
derail
numbers.
everything.
If there was one, it wouldn't do a thing, would it? All right, ma'am, thank you.
Well, I have one more thing. My public trustee report, you guys have to look at, and then I turned it over to Kelly. That's a year's thing.
So you need a copy of that too.
Yeah, she gives me. a copy.
Okay. Good, I have a second in here. I could sign.
Balance.
If you'd like.
No,
Yeah,
So
that's just tells
that's the
tells you
same
what I
as it has
did.
been there for 30 months. There you go.
Hate seeing a financial report with a lot of red ink on it. That's.
is that for 2022, Virginia?
This
Is that
one?
for a whole year?
Yeah. I'll give it to you, each year's to keep.
So could you give us an example of what that withdrawal means?
Withdrawals.
Yeah. You have one withdrawal on there, it looks.
Oh, withdrawal?
Yeah.
That's when they withdrew the file. The foreclosure did not go through. This is for foreclosures and release of deed for trust. They either cured it or something, and so, yeah, I had one withdrawal.
And do we need to approve that as well?
No, it's just, you guys are to look at it.
Okay,
Informational.
Yeah.
all righty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Virginia while she's here? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you coming down the hall.
See you later.
See you, Virginia. Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks.
Bill, I think we'll go ahead and let you come up here. You've been patiently waiting back there at the back of the room. So
I'm never patient, but I do wait.
Remember, you're a bureaucrat.
That's right.
And we know you're a bureaucrat because you're not opposed to admitting that. Highly unusual. Most people deny that vehemently. How's things in your world?
Dusty
Dusty.
up in the office.
Didn't look like it yesterday.
Well, it's because,
Something must have changed.
well, I'm moving
Yeah.
piles of files.
Hmm. I was impressed with your office yesterday, by golly.
I should have taken before photos.
Yeah, there you go.
We found a lot of stuff that was ancient
Well, and I pulled
and you put,
2 file cabinets out of the sheriff's vehicle yard, boneyard,
is that right?
got them filled. Need more.
You need to keep it on.
I don't know yet.
So you're gonna go through.
I need to get a records retention policy from the bureaucracy that's above me.
Yeah, and I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
multiple agencies.
Yeah, you got.
At a minimum,
Williams got
7
some-
years like
7 years
anything
is what
else.
I think it is from.
Look on the, there's a website, it's the state archives. And they have, they've got one for a lot of the other offices, so they may have a retention.
Okay.
policy.
And OEM probably has one specifically that maybe Christie
Yeah.
knows what that.
Yeah, I'm still trying to catch up with her. I offer you 1 page of acronyms and abbreviations rather than 4 pages. I included November, and I didn't know if Adrian had performed equivalently for November. So, and November is all about me, and as is December and January, so,
He had November.
okay. So the onboarding is my traveling around the county and shaking hands. And that's still in progress. And then obviously a repeat when Robin comes on board. For the grants, the Emergency Management Program grant, meetings, account access, submitted Q4 documentation, and those went to Christy Coleman, the regional field manager, and then she pushes them up the ladder. The HMP hazard mitigation plan, that's a consultant contractor heavily involved with that. Meetings with those folks, and the consultant has pushed that to the state, and the state has pushed that to the feds, and that was in the middle of January. And I think they have 45-day cycle to accept it or reject it. The contractor, and with these conversations, there is a high level of confidence as far as the acceptance by the feds. Homeland Security grants, there was as I say, a NOFO communicated. Have to watch out pronouncing that. A notice of funding opportunity, and that was a very quick fuse in my world, but it's a routine cycle, and it's this time every year. So I'll say we'll do a better job next year with reacting to that. And I spoke with Kelly briefly on, so it was focusing on election security, and you indicated that you had some items going along that pathway. Training, all of this is about me with the FEMA independent study and the incident command series. And I've established an account with CoTrain, which is a statewide system for registering for various training classes, and they have a calendar that's just overwhelming.
So what does that do? Because
if I want to go to some seminar or conference or training session, sometimes the sponsoring agency says you will register via CoTrain.
That's just a thing for the, it's like a website.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The web EOC is newly revamped, still has glitches and bugs. And I've sat in on 2 training sessions last year with Christy Coleman as the regional field manager. And she is always willing to bring it to our house with any audience. And I was trained to drive fast, turn left with the emergency vehicle operations training, and that was via Chief Knowlton. Activities, lots of meetings. And beyond that, we did open up the evacuation center back in December with the Silver Cliff shooting or active shooter incident. Nobody showed up at the evacuation center, but
That's good.
yeah,
Good practice.
I didn't have to dig out the expired.
You didn't have to serve lunch either.
Yeah, didn't have to bring out the expired Girl Scout cookies. So we were ready.
That's
Nothing
sad.
better.
You have expired Girl Scout cookie. They're supposed to be gone way before.
Anything
they
in an
expire.
emergency.
No. I listened to the radio and nothing that would cause the office to attend. Adrian wanted me to volunteer to go to California for the wildfires, and it's like, no, I think I should stay here. So at the bottom, which is a little bit different from Adrian's reports. I just put in a forecast for my world upcoming. So just maintaining the EMPG grant, paper shuffle, and the other grants and plans that we're working on. The emergency operations plan is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And there was a lot of information on that on my recent Custer Emergency Services meeting minutes that I sent to y'all this morning. I got them out to the rest of the group on Friday, but I forgot the CC crowd. And Tom was at the meeting, so he got stuck accepting the homework folders. He's probably passed them on to somebody else.
Not yet, they're sitting right here.
Okay.
And speaking of that, Vernon also had asked, did you have a set of homework for him? ITGIS or no?
I'll have to look. So as I look at the existing emergency operations plan, there seems to be a block of, I'll call them primary partners or stakeholders that are affiliated directly with the 15 emergency services functions, ESFs. And then there seems to be a block of affiliated departments or divisions. And so I don't think Vernon directly received a homework folder. And maybe that's because they're in the, what I'll call the secondary block of participants, if you will. And, you know, I'm talking with Vernon every day, so it's not like some of these other people who don't attend on Zoom or don't attend in person. But all of those folders have been delivered as of yesterday for those who weren't at the meeting. The next item, set meeting with mandated partners for the 2023 Division Fire Protection Control Operating Plan. And that is to accept their plan. So the email from DFPC to me, they're have a traveling roadshow. They're targeting Custer in March for a meeting. So that means we need the 3 commissioners and Rich Smith at a minimum to select a date that you're all available at the same time. And so with that, and I haven't talked with Rich about this, the 4 of you in whatever fashion, pick a couple of dates.
Work with Jennifer.
Okay. And then I can
For us.
communicate back to DFPC to say, here's a couple of dates. What's good for
So
you?
where is it gonna be?
He will come here.
And so you'll have to coordinate with her to get a room and.
It can be at the search and rescue building or the fire
Okay,
station
sure.
or whatever.
We've done
So,
this before.
yeah, it sounds like it's routine. I don't know anything about it. It's new to me. So it sounds like it's just an area operating plan. A correction to the next item, South Region area or South Region All Hazards ESF 5 Integrated Preparedness Plan Workshop. That is not tomorrow in Fremont County. That is coming here May 11th. And I will host that. And this is the IPP is what we used to call the training and exercise plan. So this is a region-wide meeting. I call it the funnel meeting.
Region being whose?
The South region, which is,
Yeah, that's what SRA means.
yeah, South Region All
Might be
Hazards.
good if you put those in parens and spell them out once somewhere so we know
Yeah,
what the key is.
thought I did that
I don't think you
earlier.
did it earlier. I
Anyway,
was looking for it anyway.
yeah.
So you will be hosting that or
yeah, you did.
OEM?
Well, OEM.
Okay.
You did spell it out, but normally you you'd put the acronym, then you'd put a print and spell it out, so you, that way we know it's tied to. I've just found it. It's up there under
Okay.
grants.
So back to my funnel meeting, as I call it. All the stakeholders come in at the top of the funnel, drop in their training needs and their ideas, and it comes out at the bottom, and that's an attempt for efficiency. And so say 3 counties need some level of training that's all the same. Okay, so rather than 3 county trainings, let's have 1 training and those 3 counties attend. So that's the emphasis of the IPP workshop. And again, May 11th, Custer County. I've talked with Fire Station to hold space. And I will also hold space at the search and rescue barn in case fire department is under renovation. So that's and there is a meeting tomorrow, but it's not for the IPP. SEMA annual conference, as you're aware, is happening next week. Robin is attending. I am not. And I know there's been some other interest from other county peoples, and I don't know if that happened.
Vernon
Because,
is going.
okay, good. Because they had closed the registration, and I think Christie asked for a favor to,
Get him in.
yeah. There's Access and Functional Needs Program Workshop in Pueblo at the end of the month. South Regional Hazards Tabletop Exercise, Animal and Disasters in Pueblo in late March. I have circulated that invitation to the 2 veterinary offices that we have here in town, along with the extension office. And all of these are no cost. I have 1 add to the forecast. There is the Colorado Informational Analysis Center, CIAC, middle of March up in or over in Pueblo again. And it's sort of a fusion hub for communicating and communications. So that's just another meeting that popped up. So the 1 correction to the workshop not in Fremont County tomorrow, and the 1 ad for the CIAC. And that's 3 pages less than I could have given you.
Half a page too much.
Question for you though.
I'll write that
No,
down.
it's-
Note to self, make it longer.
So on the tabletop, on your animals in disasters. You said you extended invitations to the local veterinarians. I believe it was my understanding, there's also some people registered as evacuators for animals in the county in case of emergency, say a fire. Is that something for them as well, or not?
Yes, I mean, by all means.
And I didn't know if you had that list or.
I do not.
You
I
can
am,
extend the invitation.
So,
Good idea.
I don't know who would be the keeper of that list, because I believe there was some that were registered, I thought, with the OEM office, so.
unknown.
I could be misunderstanding there, but.
Yeah.
You might
I think
check
they are.
with Reggie, Extension Director.
Yeah, because
It
she's
seems
working
like there
there.
was something
She is.
that they were working with OEM, because I thought that's their
Sarah Shield.
Double Shield was on that list, and.
Yeah. and Take care of them when they go to the rodeo grounds with a bunch of
Yeah,
horses.
yeah, you might ask
Okay,
Reggie.
yeah,
I
I-
don't know if she'd know where it is,
Yeah.
but she may.
She
I-
brought that up in the fair board meeting. It was part of her report the other day. So she is
Yeah,
working.
so she may.
Okay, so I gave the flyer to Caitlin. Reggie wasn't in the office when I stopped by. So,
And talk to her in person. See if you probably have a copy over there in
Yeah.
that file that you just threw out.
Well, it's in the recycle tray. Had to drive that bag over. Yeah, I'll look into that.
Okay, that might be if they're gonna be participants, they probably should be involved in the
Sure.
tabletop on that. So.
Yeah.
But I'm good at throwing that out there without knowing where that list might be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's easy to ask, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, I've got,
If you present a problem, you're supposed to present a solution,
that's
right?
right, I've got at least 8 years worth of files that are still,
If you need another, did you say you need another file cabinet? There's one in the garage Dave can help you with that what belonged to Extension. They were trying to get rid of it.
okay,
And so it's only a 11 wide, not a.
And that's
14
fine,
wide,
yeah.
But it's a
Yeah.
nice cabinet.
yeah,
for a
because
file
there was another one in the sheriff's yard, but it was frozen to the ground.
I think there are filing cabinets downstairs that are empty in
Okay,
the basement.
cabinet.
They're pretty ratty.
Yeah, there may be. That one over in the garage was a nice cabinet.
is this an acceptable format for your
Works for me.
leisure lunchtime reading?
Yep.
Okay,
Fix the acronym. No.
okay, well, I'll give you a 10-page glossary
No, but
attached to the next.
come in each time and the glossary is bigger than the report.
Nobody likes acronyms, but everybody uses them.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing. Bill,
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, sirs.
I guess
Thank
were you done
for
through?
your efforts. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I should have asked
No,
before I
I
jumped up to
would've-
shake his hand.
I would have hollered.
Bring those folders to the top.
Yeah. Well, except for today's meeting, that is the top. I don't anticipate a whole lot changing, but. Thank you, sir.
Okay, if you guys want to go back to recycling. then.
Tom probably knows as much about this as Tim does.
Yeah, I don't know if you've had a chance to read that or not.
Went through it.
I spoke with Tim at some length on the phone yesterday. Wednesdays are their big recycle day for cardboard out there. So I'm sure that's why he's not here. He didn't specifically tell me that, but I would be surprised. So I think things are moving forward out there. Generally, I sat in on those board meetings. So kind of have a feel for the flow of how things are going with them. I continually encourage Tim as our recycle manager to get some of those recyclables sold. Can't just make a phone call and sell them that day. It's scheduling semis and it's, checking different vendors to sell to. And so it's not a super simple process, but I am of the general opinion that the less amount of recycles that are sitting out there, the better, because that means we've sold them and got some money. To me, there's a critical line in this whole report, and that's halfway between, at the end of the cardboard section, the price fluctuated in 2022 from a high of $160 to a ton down to $30 a ton.
Yeah.
And I continually remind the board and Tim both of that. Our objective out there is not to make money. That's not what that recycle system was about. It was diversion from the landfill. Would love to get $160 a ton for cardboard right now, but that's not gonna happen. So I've encouraged them, regardless of what the price is, let's get it sold, because our objective is to keep it out of the landfill. And I think the optics of it, any revenue shown is better than cardboard
That's all
bales
we
sitting
got.
out there.
Never
So,
had before, even $30.
yeah, I counted to have 11 bales of aluminum on site, or 8 or 11, I forget. So I better be careful about that, but again, I think regardless of what we get, it's better to sell that and bank the money than not, but that's kind of been my opinion. I know their volunteers continue to be very committed to that whole operation out there, and they're doing a good job. I was out there yesterday after they finished baling, and I continually am impressed how clean that facility is. You could almost eat off of that floor when they're done, and that's highly unusual for a recycle center. The beauty of it is we're not recycling any liquids, so we don't have to deal with that, you know, but they're just doing a great job of keeping that clean. And so,
Do they have any problem, Tom, fixing the alignment?
no, that's been taken care of.
I know it's been taken care of. Did it?
Yeah.
Did it fix it?
It did. The invoice was 3,800, I think, for that. Right now, I don't remember
It
exactly.
says 36 here.
Oh, does it?
36,
Okay.
23.
Oh, okay, all right, sorry. So they got that done, and the baler is working well. I personally have not been out there when it's running. Every time I go out there, everybody's gone. Yeah, I see it now, 3623. So, and then they also had the skid steer service, and they had an invoice for $380 some from Road and Bridge for that, so.
Good.
If you have any questions, I can try to answer, we'll pass them on, but I appreciate Brian's whole take on this thing of making sure this money is transferred. It'd be easy to say to Braden, hey, that 13,000, that needs to go into landfill or whatever, but he's done a good job working with the recycle center, and that money certainly is going to help them to balance their budget. I think they had budgeted that as revenue. I can't remember for sure, but I looked to Braden with that, but so, yeah, I think things are going well out there. We're still got some growing pains. Traffic pattern is kind of an issue. But we're dealing with the public, right? So who knows where they're gonna go and how they're gonna back in and so on. Talked to Brian about maybe some temporary fencing to help direct that traffic. We're gonna have some issues when we start digging those other trenches, and we just don't have a lot of room there, so we're gonna have to deal with that. They're also aware of and moving forward with a whole safety plan for the kind of recycle. Yeah.
I don't have any other questions.
I guess. Working through some of their issues that they had board wise and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think the board's pretty solid. Of course, we have an interim, so until that becomes permanent, there's some fluctuation there, but I think there may be one other open slot on the board. I can't remember if this is, but so yeah, I think they're functioning pretty well. I think I can share this with you. One of their board members, I shouldn't laugh, i.e. one Joni Liebman was verbally or physically assaulted out at in their neighborhood. She was walking her dog, and the guy pulled up and lost his mind, jumped out, shoved her to the ground, and yelling and screaming at her.
Where out there?
Up where they live,
Oh.
in Cody Park. I haven't talked to her. I've talked to Mike. He said she's doing better, sore. Didn't break any ribs, but thought maybe she had.
You know who it was?
Yeah. She gave a brief description of a vehicle, no license plate. I don't know, it was weird, so. But I'm sure probably.
Mad because she's walking a dog or
I
what?
think it was over a dog barking, and this guy thought it was their dog. I don't know. I've been around their dog a lot. I've never heard that dog bark. He's a support dog. But anyway, I haven't talked to him, so I don't know all the specifics. It was very bizarre. Glad nothing more serious than that, so.
You look like you need a break.
As soon as this report was done, I was gonna call a break.
I knew it.
That was the only question I had.
Okay.
Anything from you, sir? Okay, let's take a short recess, and then we'll move on to the rest of our agenda.
just when you got here.
Yep. You ready, Kelly? All right, the time is now 10:50 a.m. and I will reconvene this meeting of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. We finished our reports. Does anyone have any unfinished business?
Yeah, I had not unfinished, but a thing I should have brought up at the front of the meeting, just to make sure everybody's got the right calendar. We're gonna have a broadband PMR, program management review meeting on Thursday.
Are you for the meeting?
And that's been coordinated with the towns, Silver Cliff and West Cliff at 4. And they worked with Jennifer to make sure we all could make it or not. So that's on, if you want to
What
be there.
date?
Thursday, this Thursday,
Oh.
this Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah, it's already posted in there. So that was firmed up and could be about an hour long, just a review of where they are with the grants and what's going forward. We all don't have to be there, but can be, like we have been in the past. At the town hall,
Silver Cliff
West
or
Cliff.
West Cliff Town Hall?
And Jennifer, you can send out a calendar notice on that if you want.
What
You've got
time?
it. 4 o'clock, 4 to 5.
I'll put it
It would
on.
be nice to get a little more notice than
Yeah,
that.
it's as quick as they got it. Been pushing on them. And it took a while to get it coordinated because of the mayor's deals and Kathy. So it's all set now. And we all don't have to be there, Tom. If you can't make it. that's
No,
okay.
but I'm
So-
just saying, I would think whoever's in charge of that could sure give us more than one day notice.
Well, that's me trying to push on it, so
I'll
that's as
bring
quick
that
as we
up.
could get it.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So I'll get that added to my calendar.
Roger that.
And I guess we do have to, I guess that's 2 things to put on the calendar here now with the. I guess we have to come up with a date for March for that operations plan meeting.
Yeah, and Jennifer can
So
coordinate that.
if we can get our dates back to her on that, so. Okay. Moving on to new business then. Our first item up would be the consideration of accepting the resignation of Clint Smith as the county attorney. I believe everybody received the email from him on Monday.
Yeah, reluctantly, I'll make the motion to accept Clint's request to resign. Reluctantly and with sadness as well. Hate to see him go. Made a difference.
Okay, so I do have a motion on the floor to accept the resignation of Clint Smith as county attorney. Discussion.
Well, I guess I would say I have enjoyed working with Clint, certainly respected him as our county attorney. I know he was frustrated recently with having his health interfere. Although I didn't really see it interfere. I know he came here when he didn't really feel good and you could see that, but I just appreciated his service to the county, certainly long before I came on board, so he will be missed.
I would also say the same thing now. I've enjoyed working with him since I've been here. And have enjoyed developing a friendship with him as well. And so I just mirror your guys' thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, and I suppose it'd be appropriate to have another comment here versus afterwards, because it's on the agenda item, although it doesn't directly tie to accepting his letter of resignation. I did talk with his wife this morning. She didn't come right out and say it to me, but basically indicated that she's just not really up to dealing with a lot of phone calls and or company. So I told her everyone here at the courthouse, Kelly. Part, not, she didn't take part, but she heard that conversation that I told her that everybody here sends our love and prayers and.
Good.
So she asked if she could just end the phone call. So I said, yeah, I'm sorry to intrude. She says you're not, but she said, I'm just not in a position to talk to a lot of people about all this. So,
Fair enough.
yeah. And I know many people have asked about him and wanted to know what they could do and so on and so forth. I guess it's probably appropriate for me to share. I don't know. But I don't think Clint would have a problem. She said hospice was coming up today.
Mhm.
Anything from the room? Not see anything online. Those in favor then of accepting the resignation of Clint Smith as county attorney, please signify by saying aye.
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 Do we need a copy of that letter on file? I look to HR. Because I can keep it on file. I believe we were the only three that were copied on that email.
So we could make sure that it
Should
gets
be.
forwarded to you, so we have it
Sure.
in the file.
Since he's
Or-
not an employee, I'm not sure it's necessary, but I'm
Okay.
on file just in case.
All right, next item. Consideration of on-call contractor.
Okay, that's shorthand. I'll take that to introduce it again. It's really the county buildings repair and maintenance service that we're looking at for the county. And we brought it up the other day. We've got opportunity to add and subtract on the items that I gave you a bullet of. And also I gave you each a copy. That's not to be, we don't need to go through what I just gave you, the sample contract. That's from other counties' service contracts similar to this. And what they have done, which is very helpful. And it also has some items in there that we might want to include in the when we talk, when we have the walkthrough with them on the bid before they bid conference that we'll have on whatever day we prospective bidders might want to be there. So with that, the one change that I need to make first is the fact that there is no requirement in Colorado for a general contractor to have a license. Some cities have them, some towns do that. So that first bullet ought to be, the prime contractor can be either just a general contractor or can be one of the trades CEOs or bosses and do both. You can manage the contract and then decide to be the plumber. I mean, whatever it is. Now we can make clear, but the prime thing here is that we are putting out a request for somebody to manage the halls and for all the minor repairs that are necessary and maintenance options. And you can even see that on the general contract, that sample page up front kind of gives you an idea of the kinds of scope that could be included when we put an RFP. So with that, let's we can discuss it now, or we can discuss a little bit and then make a motion more exact, but to me, it's sort of a walk, run, learn thing here because we've got money. They're directed toward general repairs, and I'd asked Braden to give us a summary of where the maintenance and repairs are, and I think you gave a copy to everybody, didn't you, Braden? Of budgets that are in other people's lines that might be consolidated for help on this. I think we'll learn, when we get the bids in for the RFP, depending on how we write the RFP, it'll scope it because you know, we're asking for a contractor to compete on managing it, and managing it is not the $90 to $100 an hour technical cost like a plumber would charge to do actually what it is. That would be as required. But to manage the contract is going to be what they think they can do it on a, because this will be a part-time thing for somebody to pick up. I did talk to a couple contractors on whether they'd be interested, and they actually are, and they actually had some suggestions of a guy that several people that have retired, and this would be a good job for the guy to be the general contractor on and manage that. So that would be whatever he proposes, it would estimate based on what we tell him and he sees on our buildings, what the requirements might be, how often. And we do have a record of how many calls we've had in the past. We've got items where we've asked for walls to be fixed in the SAR building, or windows broken, or things that we've actually done ourselves as well. So we got an idea of the scope, and we can discuss that with them, and then they will bid accordingly. And then based on that, we'll take a look at how we handle the next step. And that would be, and as we've talked before, the budget would cover that guy's time, and it would also cover the minor repairs that are going to be required during that year, that first year. And if we have to step back and decide how to scope it so that it would be in line with what we want it to be budget wise, we'll have to discuss that later. My view. So
I'm trying to find the email that Braden had sent us. So I've got the salary for the maintenance and custodial, but that's not what we're talking about.
Wasn't that in your report?
Yeah.
it was,
Handed it out yesterday.
Oh,
I'll move it over into.
no, that's fine, that's fine.
you got a copy?
No,
Why
I'd
don't you
seen
give
it.
us that? I just make a copy of it.
Well, I would say this sample that you just gave us today, we haven't had a chance to
No,
look through it at all.
that's right.
So, I'm
No,
prepared.
we're not here to decide how to
Yeah,
write the contract. We're
so-
here to decide whether we want to pursue it.
Yeah, I'm not prepared to address that today, but I think you knew that already.
Yeah.
Uh,
The only reason was we want to get where we started right here, and if we want to pursue it, then the next
Mhm.
step would be, as we talked before, is to.
and I know Tom responded on an email, and I did not find that this morning in regards to your maintenance contract you gave us the other day.
I'm not sure I forwarded you my notes, if that's what you're talking about.
I
I
thought I
just-
remembered seeing them, but if you could re-forward those, I would appreciate it.
So
'Cause I
this
have
was
a
not
couple-
a contract. It was just items that if we do a contract, these are
Yeah.
things that we would include in the.
Well, it's,
RFP, but it says that.
that's what it says
I
on
know.
the front of it, so that's why I'm referring to
So
it.
this is
that
our
way.
discussion, you bet.
And I know we discussed it just a little bit the other day, and let me go back to my email here.
And you know, and also it's not, this guy is not managing the budget. He's actually managing the work. And that's another thing I should have brought up.
Yeah, I think we discussed that some the other day, because I suppose he would manage the budget that was given to him.
That's correct.
and
It would
anything
be-
that went over that.
Yeah, it's whatever he bids. If he wants $2,000, then he's gonna manage his $2,000 to manage.
So
the contract.
his $2,000 is his to do with
Right.
through the year, but anything, like you say, outside contract work. See, we would need to have a pot for the minor repairs for him to work out of as well, I believe.
Well, that's what our pot does now.
Yeah,
And
so,
so we would have to maintain a
Uh,
pot, and we'd have to maintain the money to pay him whatever it costs to manage it.
then one of my questions, I had jotted down and I didn't share these. I was jotting down here on my paper copy is. We need to figure out. At what dollar, what's our break point to change something from a minor repair to a major repair?
Right. And that would be, when I put that in there, that he would have to prepare those requests for the major repairs. And that's, and that's something we can point out to him is it replacing the heater? That's pretty easy, right? A major repair is replacing the HVAC system.
Yeah.
But is it taking it apart and getting a part in it minor, or is it major?
That's why I think we need to address, that's probably a dollar figure.
Mhm.
And so I think we need to come up with that before we put out the RFP as well. And then also, I think we had a little discussion, I don't know if that was the other day or just off and on here. We need to distinguish what maintenance items will fall under this person and what maintenance items would still fall under the maintenance person that we have on
Right.
staff. And
So-
because some of these things don't fall under
Right.
that, so we need to make those designations as well.
So do you think,
I know some of this is on here.
So the intent today, I didn't want to, we don't have time to go and build
Mhm.
that. It is taking a look at it, having some ideas and seeing, and we've got this to chew on to. Probably need a workshop of some kind to have those items discussed so we can say and make some suggestions on what we might think is reasonable to consider and then vote on what the structure might be at that time, whether we do it and then how it looks afterwards.
Yes, I think there would definitely be a need for a work session, workshop. To hammer a lot of that out. And then, did you resend that?
I did not, sorry. I can, I had kind of done some notes for me, but I can certainly share.
Well,
those
you
with
can- If you want to just address your
talk
notes,
to them.
that's fine. I
Okay.
didn't send anything out to
Okay.
you guys as well.
Yeah.
It's nice to talk to. We got a feel for it.
Whenever you finish, yeah.
Yeah, I'm done. Are you done?
I'm done.
Yeah, you touched on some things that were concerns of mine. I guess we'll go through the notes that I jotted down for this document specifically, and then maybe that'll help answer or at least bring consideration some overarching questions that I also had. So one of the notes I just made to myself on the first line, perform all required county-owned building repairs and maintenance. I said, who's going to decide what is required? It's part of a bigger question for me, but that was a note that I had made. And then on the second bullet, under the prime contractor must have a working knowledge. I just lifted those out, HVA, because you had said those the other day, Bill, HVA, electrical, plumbing, general construction, that kind of stuff, because there's
Yeah, there are
certainly a
four.
myriad of other things, but I think those four things would pretty well cover.
I had them listed out before, but I just
Yeah.
left it off for just
And
discussion.
then the licensed and bonded, I'm not sure about that language. I like if we can require that, I like it. I'm not against it, that's all I'm saying, so. And then on the third bullet, on the immediate response, I said, how will this be determined? Do we accept their word that those relationships exist? I think that's have established relationships. I guess the only way we're gonna know that is just whoever it is says, yeah, I have established relationships.
So the thought there, when just so you can answer it, but real quick. It's not an answer, it's a process. So at the bidders conference, that's where that's revealed. That when you ask for in the RFP to come with your relationships, they have their prime subcontractors that they've dealt with in their normal businesses. They also need to know that if immediate response is important, we don't need to spec 24 hours or anything. We know it's essential to get there as quick as we can. In order to do that, they have to have a second level tier of subcontractors they turn to be responsive. And so during that bidders conference is when you have a discussion with them, and they can even bring their subcontractors to the meeting. They should actually, because they're the people that will be telling them, whoa, on this bid, and we see that the heating system in the SAR building really sucks, so you can bet, you're gonna need X kind of help. So that's where that would occur, Tom, just.
Okay. I'd also
To give us
put
confidence.
in contrast to what you just said, that I had added that they being the prime, whatever we're gonna call them, the prime contractor, must acknowledge the issue exists within 24 hours.
Sure.
So that we don't get into this typical Westcliff thing of I called and nobody ever returned my call, or
And then-
I'm not saying they have to address it, but they have to acknowledge, hey, I
That's right.
understand what you're doing, or the issue here, and that should be done, in my opinion, within one day, and then
Sure.
work towards remediating.
a great
the
idea.
Issue.
And that's why you have the direct phone line, because there's no way you can, they're gonna acknowledge they're gonna be responsible for a number that is a county number coming into them. And that's their call to answer, and if they don't, that's how they get evaluated at the end of the contract, or fired during the contract. If they don't.
Yeah, and then under the prime contractor will, I had changed that language. In just a second here. Just a suggestion to provide a phone number for use by all county department heads and elected officials for county buildings, repair, maintenance, and service
Sure.
calls. I don't think every county employee calling this person, which is to me one of the overarching questions that we can talk about here in a minute.
Yeah, it's a
then-
process thing, that's right.
Yeah,
This
and
was a
then I
general statement.
also reworded the next bullet. Again, just a suggestion to say that the prime contractor will operate within the Custer County repairs and maintenance budget.
Right.
I don't think they need to develop or manage the budget. They just need to operate within
That's
the
right.
dollars. So,
They have to manage, they have to develop how they're gonna manage what they're awarded to do the contract with.
Right.
And that's what they'll be bidding.
And I think he had prepare a monthly status and budget reports. I think if needed or when appropriate, I mean, we might go a whole month and never do anything. And if that's the case, do we need them to
We don't
show up
have
to
to
it?
show.
Um,
So this would be as required.
And yeah, that's what I had added to that, was as required or as necessary. And then.
By the way, it's done before you change
Go
that.
ahead.
You're gonna hit that next bullet? Because the next bullet hits what your first comment was, and that's how do you differentiate between major and minor? This was a general attempt to do that because there's accidents. There's weather related, and then there's insurance claims.
Yeah, sorry, I jumped a line. I put as necessary on the next line, so let me fix that real quick, but.
But
Yeah,
it's
I
like a
think-
tighter than that.
We have, I looked to Braden, but I think it's in our personnel policy that anything over 5,000, or our purchasing policy, sorry, anything over $5,000 have to have 3 bids, correct? I think that's what it is, but anyhow, yeah, I had,
Yeah, whatever it is, we need to, that would be in the contract.
right, I think the next bullet, manage and coordinate all minor routine repair and maintenance projects, is really the scope of what we're talking about, right?
And
And
then
then
go-
assist us in doing major
right,
stuff.
and actually, they would put out the RFP to compete it. We would, but
Okay.
they would prepare it for our
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah, so day to day, I think that next bullet covers it, and then also we could utilize them on some major projects. And then that last bullet, I solicit bids in a timely fashion for all major maintenance and repair work. And I had added, should this have a dollar value attached to it, so that we separate what's minor and what's major. And then I had a couple of things that I just think are a little more overarching. Currently, the buildings and grounds falls under my responsibilities as a commissioner. That, of course, will change over time, so I'm not this comment has nothing to do with me personally, it has to do with this responsibility is who is this person gonna answer to directly? And then who is this person going to answer to overall? Well, the overall, the answer is to all three of them, right?
And you.
But directly, would it be the person with buildings and maintenance? Because
It would be in my mind.
I think it would be cumbersome to have that person jump through 3 hoops every
No.
time he's trying to get
Yeah.
furnace filters ordered
That's
or
right.
whatever. So that was one of my.
See, and then in my view, Tom, you hit the nail on the head, is that's exactly what would happen. The furnaces would be managed, you'd say, yeah, whatever. Then when he defines a major project, then that's up to you to say, okay, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And then you have to bring it to the board because they answer to the board to make those money decisions.
Yeah, I think we come back, part of this big question is answered with some little questions is what dollar values do we attach to say, okay, I'm just gonna throw out something for conversation. Under $500, you don't have to talk to anybody.
Right.
If you get a request from a department head to fix something that's less than $500, you deal with it.
Right.
If it's over, then we go through this process or whatever. I mean,
So,
there's no reason for us to put this in place and then micromanage it. to
no,
death.
you can't. That the whole purpose is not to.
Um,
So that would be what we would discuss in the workshop as
Right.
far where do you set those limits? And then that would be what we put in the RFP to get the contract that we
Right.
see signed.
Clean up all
like
those
this one.
details.
And they would be in that contract.
Right. And then another question I had when I went through all this was, how does this shake out if in fact we do hire a county manager?
Same thing.
I would think then the county manager becomes that contact point
Sure.
or person.
It has
who
nothing to
most
do with
likely would have a good handle on the budget. And
Well,
then,
or
to me,
what-
that's just a whole nother
That's
conversation.
a different conversation, because that county manager is given the authority to run the budget period, and then he's the guy that has to deal with it.
Yeah. So instead of a county manager having one of their duties to, well, I gotta go find somebody to change the filters. He could
Yeah.
contact this person and say, I see on the maintenance schedules that you provided me that so-and-so filters or whatever,
Or if,
oversight.
if we haven't got this in place, that would be his responsibility to actually do. That's what a county manager would do. He's not gonna do all this by.
No, he wouldn't do it. He would
He would
make sure
go-
it
he'd
gets
go- he'd
done.
Do exactly
Right.
what we're doing here.
So I don't believe your intent was to usurp the need for a county manager, because you brought this up a year and a half ago. So I'm not trying to tie it to the county manager's name. I'm just saying, would it change if we had a county manager? That's all I'm asking.
We'll transfer it to him.
And then my other kind of big question is, this is kind of a Braden thing too. If I don't know this, but let's say there were 6 departments in the county that had submitted a line item budget request for maintenance repairs. I'll make one up. Let's say that we look at the budget and landfill had included $3,000 for maintenance and repairs. Do we take that money and throw it in the pot?
Yes.
Or do we leave that money for landfill? Because that's what we budgeted.
No, you would, when we fill the pot, we're getting information from each of those departments to say, here's some issues that we've got, but then it's our job to put the money in the budget to support this guy being able to do it. So that's why I asked him to take a look at what organizations have a line in there, because that would be money that should be in this account.
So
They have the need, and then the budget's already there for their minor repairs to be done.
okay, so instead of each department or whichever departments, I don't think all of them have submitted that.
There's like 3 of them.
Instead of the department submitting a budget or did submit a budget, we're gonna take that to a county-wide level, put it all in one pot, and then parse that out as the requests for needs come in. Is that a fair assessment of that, or?
I'm not sure. I think from the accounting perspective, it might be better to have it separated, just to know that X amount is, because
You know what it's.
it's landfill, what's that?
You would know who's requesting it, though. Or
Sure, yeah, so in either case, I guess. It doesn't matter.
Well,
Easier to manage.
I think, let me kind of mull over because I think I know what you're asking. Because right now we have 3 departments that put in their own line items in the budget for maintenance. Biggest one's airport at 5,500. And then we take all that money and throw into our pot. Airport uses $500 this year and
Or this month,
or this month.
Right.
And planning and zoning all of a sudden had a major roof leak
$11,000.
and they just burned up that whole budget. They didn't have a line item and we just burned up,
Right.
we took $5,500 out of the airport budgeted money
Mhm.
to repair the roof at planning and zoning.
Right, and to that point, we can't move money out of any other fund. So if it's in anything but general fund, we can't move it anyway.
If we put it there in the first.
So
year.
airport would stay because it's
Yeah,
not in the
right.
general fund.
And strategically, it wouldn't make sense for us to not use road and bridge monies or airport monies for a repair.
Right.
If we could, and so, but it would have to be, we'd have to keep it separate.
Right.
But that's where you would start out the front of the year. You don't load those.
Right,
And
that's where I was headed.
And so-
If that's the case, then
Right.
let's
so the,
live with it this year and next year we approach it, the budget differently and
so
so.
let's take the example. We're the boss, we can act as one. So we know that the airport needs repair. It's got a building that needs repairs. We know Road Bridge has one. We know whoever it is. They estimate, they are the guys that are smart on how bad the systems are. We put the budget together. And then that has to be managed because if this guy wouldn't be silly. He wouldn't be making his money if he's gonna spend all the money on this. What it would require is moving things around and understanding priorities in each of the other buildings that are needed. And if it gets to be too hard where it is, that's where the wordsmithing the contract is, then he has obligated now to get people to take the risk in the long run or us. So he would have to come to the board saying, I've got a big problem. I just had 5 furnaces blow up all at the same time. They're little repairs initially, but in the big scope, we can't afford it because we know this other thing, he's gonna have to make the trades and bring them to us to make the decision. Just like he would if he was the county manager or if it was anybody else. So that's what's important when we sit down after we see, here's what we want to have. How do we word that into the contract so that that he's not just going to say, okay, I've got a pot of $50,000. I can just manage. And we give the award to him to do that. But now that's why it's important. He comes to us once a month or on a need where he says, I'm a little goosey about doing this one. What do you think, boss? Meeting.
So I think what I heard you say is these funds where we budgeted on these 3 departments, that money would, regardless of how we decide or whatever, that money stays in those departments. And then if they have that need arise, we can use that money. But it wouldn't go in, per se, it wouldn't go in the overall initial pot that we would set up for this maintenance
It
contract.
could. The only one that can't, maybe, no, I don't even think so. That's the case. Yeah, Road and Bridge budgets it, but that money is fenced. And so that's the major difference. They can't take that money out and put it in into a big pot to mash up. We can always do money to them.
Yeah.
Same
So-
with airport.
But so that manager would have, just like us, we'd have to say, okay, the furnace went out on Road and Bridge. And we'd use their money first. If it got to be too big, then that would be where we would have to, this guy and us, make a decision to supplement it or not.
So
Other than that, the airport's not fenced.
yeah, my thought would be.
I know it's fenced, but my point is, we load it, not the state.
But
We make that
Once we
decision. in
commit
front of
to it,
them. Once we commit to it, it's in their budget.
Yeah.
I understand that.
so my thought would be, these are all exterior departments. Road and Bridge sits over here, airport sits down there. Emergency management's over here in their separate building. most of our other departments are housed in this building. I don't know, but if we have these individual funds line items set up in these other departments, those are available to use for those departments. So we basically have line items in each department, and then we have the pot of money for this contractor to work out of. But if there is a repair in one of these that has this particular line item, it doesn't come out of the main pot until after this money is burned up.
You could manage it that way.
Because if I was the airport and I put $5,500 in my budget for a line item and then it went somewhere in this building, I'd be mad.
That's right.
Because I could have not made that line item. I could have $5,500 to use on my fuel.
Or not have had that
So-
line item, see,
Yeah,
because that's what we determine up front. If we decide to take all the maintenance money and put it in one pot, we can do that. We can also allocate it out there if we want to. But when you allocate it during the year, then you know, that that's an issue we can
that's probably
discuss.
for this work session.
Right. Yeah, we'll
Iron
get
out,
into that, yeah.
it's just,
So my other points, one was, I think we need to guard against any county employee reaching out to this person and saying, I need this.
That's right. So that would be a process you'd set up in Kelly's area. Only one person is gonna be the one that contractor responds to.
Right. So I would think, department heads or the officials are the only ones that are gonna have direct contact with this person or the commissioners.
Or who would they designate, Kelly doesn't have to do it, she can have Peggy doing it.
Right. And then I also wondered how we're gonna construct this thing. We're gonna have to pay this person, so it's gonna be another cost to the county. We've been hammered over the last 2 months about adding layers of government, especially in the realm of this county manager, and how much it's gonna cost us. Well, are we gonna put this person on a flat retainer fee? How are we gonna do that?
That's what I was trying to point out up front, Tom, because we have money, if you added it all together, I don't know what that total pot is. What we'd like to see is the bid come in to manage it at that level and do the repairs at the minor level, at that level. Because in major repairs, we have to go after the money somewhere anyway. It doesn't change that process. So we cannot, you wouldn't want, he needs to know, that's why I said it's important for him to understand what is his management time going to be, and that's what he's bid on to manage the contract. And if it is beyond, let's say our pot's $20,000, and we want to do all minor repairs in that and manage it too, because we have to manage it. Somebody's going to manage it, even if we don't have a guy doing it. And right now, nobody is. They come to a one of us, and then we try to manage it, and that's a waste of our time. That's what we're trying to prevent here. So that's what we got to see what the bids are, but we can get an estimate on that now because we can scope it based on what we've seen in the past right now, and then we can see if our budget is enough. I want to see it not have to add any money to the pot that we've got. Let's see what they bid. If the bids are going to be $1,000 out of what we thought it would be, you can still move the money around with the current budget possibly, or have them just say, okay, we're going to scope it down and you're going to manage it with just this amount of money, which might make the time to respond a little more or a little harder, but we need to see. That's why I would like to be able to revamp what our current maintenance is. And that's why we need to have this discussion in the workshop, is how much do we keep on the current grounds and maintenance, and how much do we take and use of other money that's available, and not necessarily be a county employee doing it.
But we're gonna pay this person to manage this
That's
part
right.
of county government,
That's
right? Whether he does the work or not is irrelevant.
Well, it's the county service, not government. It's not managing the government. He's going to do the service work,
Okay,
and somebody has to manage that, and the contractor does.
so I would assume this contractor will be paid an annual salary.
or it's a pot, it's not a salary. He's bidding it, I can do this service and I can, and for whatever he thinks it costs to manage it internally. Period. And he can have somebody else do it, or he himself can do it, and one of his workers will be doing it, but he's only managing the workload. He's gotta schedule the work, he's gotta go out and get the contractors, answer the phone, he's gotta get the contractor that's gonna be the sub on it to go and do the work. And I can make a case for that saving time. Is we're not gonna be doing that. And so from a citizen's point of view, we're being smart here because we're getting a contract and we're giving them work to the community, the guys that are actually in the community to do the job. And we're getting a better bang for the buck.
Well, sounds good. I don't know how realistic it is.
Well,
It's a
that's
good
it,
political
no.
speech, but
Well,
what if somebody has to go to Colorado Springs to get an HVAC guy?
well,
So that argument just went out the window, right?
No, not
Has
really,
nothing to do with
because-
local
because-
economy.
today, no, but the work is done locally, but not.
I'm saying it may not be.
Well, sure, Tom, but that happens today. Even today.
Well,
that's what
sure.
happens.
I understand.
We're not
that,
changing.
That's my whole point. Is there no guarantee that that's gonna
No,
give the
not,
local people?
no, not all
whatsoever?
work does,
So,
but the minor stuff does, Tom. And so the plumber, the carpenter and the heating and the electric guys are all being tasked because that's the local contractor's contacts. Big scope projects go wherever they go.
well, I'm not talking about, I'm just talking about the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we can sit here and try to sell this that we're gonna use, that it's gonna improve the local economy. Because
No.
we have no idea or no control who
We
he's
may
gonna
not
hire.
change it
right?
at all because today the local economy handles it. If there needs to be a hole blown in the wall, we would hire somebody to do that locally.
That's my exception right there. I don't know how you can say locally. We don't know that,
Well,
right? We're gonna
depends
hire
on the
somebody
size
to
of the
do it.
hole.
Doesn't matter where they come
Yeah.
from. That's what you have to
Yeah.
own up to.
That's right, sure.
I mean, HVAC, good luck. You might, but you might not. So I don't think we can couch this to say, yeah, this is gonna help
Okay,
our local business people. It may,
I agree.
but it may
I
not.
agree.
I think the other thing that we need to look at is what's buildings and maintenance versus capital improvement. Right, when we start talking about budget dollars.
Okay, that's a good point.
And we haven't gotten to that yet.
See, a local, and that's this is what I thought of that too, because in the end, if it requires a replacement of that heating system, that is a capital improvement because you just you've changed it because the maintenance schedule on that old piece of depreciated equipment's being changed now. And you can justify a capital expenditure on that cost, or the roof repair. You're gonna fix a leak, or you can use capital money. You don't have to use the money that we set aside for the small repairs.
And then the big hole, and I'll end with this. I think the big hole in this whole deal is to expect anyone to come in and submit a bid that they're gonna do building maintenance and repair for the county for X number of dollars.
No, you don't. Remember? He's only submitting a bid to manage it. The cost of materials and labor comes from the actual subcontractor that's going to do it for time and material. So he's not bidding on, well, I guess I'm going to repair X amount of things. He's bidding on how hard it is going to be to maintain and manage it.
So in order for anyone to intelligently bid this, they'd have to look at a scope of work.
That's right. And
And
that's what we're talking.
and who is going to write that?
Right now, see, it's even in this right here. That's got the scope in there. It says touch up painting, drywall patching, changing outside bulbs. It doesn't have to be that guy, it can be our other guy. That's the work for the work session, is to scope that. Because all that means is he's gonna have to, he says those are the things that could be covered by this contract. But remember, this is just a sample. The actual works being executed, time and materials by a subcontractor, or him, if he's the general, or if he's the carpenter guy. But he's got to manage it for us.
Yeah, I just struggle with the whole scope of work thing. I mean, if we could say you need to manage whatever that is, 5 heating systems, 18 water heaters,
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, how would anybody bid the work of the county if they don't know? what
Remember,
it
it's
is?
repairs and maintenance. So the maintenance piece, he would look and say, okay, you've got X water heaters and you're gonna replace the heating element in it maybe once a year, or whatever. That's up to him. He has that. Filters, same thing. Electric, I don't know, not much on those, replace a fuse or whatever happens. That's the scope of the minor repairs. And then the rest of it is a major contract, it's another contract that it would go out, and that RFP would be developed by that guy. So he's gonna have to consider, okay, I've got to work a little bit and put an RFP out, and I gotta manage that. So he's gonna cost that in his management fee for the service contract.
Yeah, I'm not opposed in theory. I think when we get up to it, I don't know how we would expect anybody to submit a bid to manage stuff that we don't know is even gonna happen, right?
I've talked to the contractors and they understand this, but we can do more. That's why we need a work session. And then the bidders conference will clarify what their scope is and what we mean by however we want to define it in our work session. Because you're not bidding on, he's gonna bet on replacing that heater. You're gonna scope it on, it's normal systems. What does it take to patch a wall? What's it take to stop a leak? And those kinds of things. He can bid that.
And then I'm dealing with this right now with CDOT. And I've been encouraged to be very careful about divulging what that budget is. If we tell these people we have a maintenance budget of 20,000, guess what their bid's going to be?
No, and you don't do that. That's my whole point.
So
You can't do
if-
that.
Okay,
That would.
I
you
will
just-
hold us to that.
That you can't, because that, you've just given him a license to spend $80,000 if that's what we tell him to got. He's only bidding and we're paying him for the time it takes him to manage the contract. The time and materials are what we already limited. Let's say $17,000 is all we got for minor repairs this year. Then that's what we will, we know that internally, and he's gonna do minor repairs. That's why it's important to have a budget report every month to see how he's tracking. Maybe he's had a lot of rainstorms and we got a lot of holes and we're eating it up. Then we got to figure out how we handle that, us, not him.
So let's say we have 20 grand. And we get a bid from one person to manage this task for $5,000.
Okay,
So that's his management fee, and we have 15,000 left to operate.
right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. And then that's probably realistic. What you just said is probably realistic. Because he's gonna have some time to do that. He'll charge us by the hour, come in here and give us a report. And it's not a $90 an hour charge to sit here and tell us the report. He's gonna have to sharpen his pencil because he wants to win the contract. And let's see what they bid, and it's up to us to choose. We got the option to choose or not choose anybody. Or have them rebid it.
So I've been kind of hearing. And it's probably because I'm just not wrapping my head around it correctly, because there's a lot here.
There it is.
But I've heard that he would manage this for the maintenance. But that he would also do some of the maintenance.
He could.
As part of that. And then I've heard that he would sub it all out. So as part of this RFP, is he doing the very minor things of changing the furnace filters?
No.
Is he, what is it?
It's my fault for not clarifying it.
Yeah,
Kevin, no. He remember, every repair is done on a time and materials basis. Period. And so if he's managing it, all he's doing is taking the calls, managing it, finding people to do it. If he does it himself, then he's on time and materials. It's not part of the budget that he's, it's whatever it costs to do it.
So I think we still need to look at, we're gonna pay this guy a flat management fee.
Right?
And then everything else is time and materials.
That's
Well,
correct.
it doesn't matter who does it, that's irrelevant.
Exactly right.
If he wants to
Irrelevant.
do it,
If he
gets
wants
his
to,
management fee plus his time and materials to do it. If he wants to hire somebody else, He's gonna make, well, he won't make less money. He's gonna make. let's say
Whatever it-
5,000.
And that's what I'm.
That's guaranteed.
That's, he has to, you have to pay something because he's not gonna waste his time for nothing.
I just thought I heard two different things there. That's. why
Yeah, I
asked
know,
for
it's confusing when you start talking. He could do it too.
Okay,
And then I think in this workshop thing, we need to revisit the money, the budget. Do we live with the budget that we have in place
That's
this year?
correct.
And if that's the case, which we should technically, right? That's
We-
what we budgeted.
we can.
17,000.
And we should use that as our goal.
To say, well, we're gonna throw another 10 grand in it. No.
But if it does, Tom, because we see the value of it. We do have, and the cap, got to keep in mind, capital improvements are a whole different animal. And at least we've got a guy that's hired now that will go out there and do the work that we waste a lot of time doing, get the RFP going, submit bids. Get the guys in that are gonna do time and materials on whatever the repair is, or the major repair.
Yeah, the 17,000 to me is buildings and maintenance repair. Is that a fair statement? Doesn't have anything to do with capital improvement.
No, that's right.
So if we get into the major, we'll forget that. That doesn't have anything to do with this. That goes to capital improvement side. That's another part.
That's right. Other than we got a guy that's gonna handle.
Yeah,
the
but I'm saying to
labor
pay
force.
for it.
That's right.
That's another pot of money. We're not gonna pay for the roof out of building.
And we've already paid him to manage it for us, build the RFP for us. And then, I don't know what it's been lately, but I don't know, did we eat through $17,000 worth of minor repairs last year or 20,000? I don't think so. Minor.
I guess we probably spent most of it. Can tell you
Oh,
right
I
off,
know.
but, and then here's my
That's
other
true, depends on the wall.
big concern. And I've been criticized for this. I've written 2 formal RFPs for projects. They certainly weren't really capital improvement projects. Didn't get one response.
Yeah, I
Not
know
one.
that is an issue.
And so we'll see.
That's right.
May or may not.
But you see, here's the difference though, Tom. This is a guy that's already got a team of guys on call that are gonna be guaranteed that. It's not, they're not bidding. See,
Yeah.
because
He's got to make that guarantee to us,
that's right.
what he does.
And that's right. But my point is from a contractor's point of view. Why, I don't necessarily want to go waste my time with a small project with the county.
That's
because
gonna be a problem.
That's, see, that's right, by one guy. Now, if he's already part of a team and this contractor says, we're gonna make you this way because you're guaranteed you're gonna have the work of the county for 1 year. If we do well, you got it the next year. You don't have to go and bid on anything. It's already bid.
Right. So I'm not trying to douse
Well, we're going in the
pour
weeds.
fire on it, but I know when I wrote them, I did not get one response. That's why I built the wall in the
I know.
human services. That's why I built the wall in the VSO. That's why I put the door through the courts. Nobody wanted to do that.
And that's why I worried about it when we, so it's.
If this is an answer,
But we haven't got anything to lose to try.
no, exactly.
Get the
right.
bid out.
Exactly. I also thought that if, let's move to major projects, okay, forget buildings and maintenance, capital improvement stuff. I'm not sure that our project manager should be allowed to bid for that project. He's gonna have a lot of
I
inside
don't think he
knowledge.
should.
Because you said he should be able to do that.
On the minor stuff, that's easy. But I agree, because
no.
he's got a,
Major
That's right.
maintenance and repair work, including the prime zone bid. I'm not sure, not comfortable with that, that's all I'm
yeah,
saying.
and we can talk about that in the workshop. It may be a conflict of interest.
so we got a lot to discuss when we get there. Do we want to set something like that up?
Well,
I'd like to be able to digest some of this other stuff that you gave us today as well, because haven't seen it. So what would,
The 20th is a holiday. Legislative briefing on the 23rd and the 24th of February. I've got 2 meetings on the 21st. I'm open on the 22nd. We have a commissioner meeting on the 28th.
I have the afternoon of the 22nd,
Book,
probably, I have at least 10 to noon on UCog
okay, and travel.
and travel.
How about the afternoon of the 28th when we have our commissioner meeting?
It's a good idea.
We want to schedule 32 o'clock. And then is this, I'm gonna ask this question because we kind of ran into a deal on our meeting in here the other day.
It's a workshop.
What type of workshop are we having? Is this a work session between the three commissioners?
It's,
Is this workshop with the commissioners and the public? Is this a workshop for the commissioners and those invited?
well, workshops are open, of course, for everybody, but.
Everybody can be there.
But as far as taking, we can invite contractors in here to discuss things if we want to. I don't think that's necessary to set this up.
No, I don't either. I think we need to
That
grind
would
up.
be us
this
just to
sausage.
deciding what,
I
And
just
then
want to
it's
make
not-
sure because that's what I thought I was setting up the last time and that's not what happened. That it was ugly.
it was different because this is not, this is.
It's
Discussing,
similar.
This
It's
is
different,
almost
but
exact.
similar.
no, well,
Like the other.
So I want to make sure that
it's information that
everyone
we.
knows beforehand what type of meeting this
Yeah,
is.
we're not gonna. We can have, we know what we could do, just call them special meeting of the board of commissioners and then discuss, can we make decisions, and we don't have to call a workshop, it's just another meeting. I think that's the right way to play it.
Yeah, I think the workshop where we just sit down and have a conversation, we don't have to video it, we don't have to live stream it, Kelly doesn't have to clerk it. We
Well,
can have a workshop,
well,
the way I look at it. I've got my own opinion, I'm sure you already know what that is.
but I'm just telling you what I get from the lawyers and the CTSI guys that want to
Well,
keep us out.
we have a couple
It
of
is
different type of
public.
workshops. That's why Jennifer has not posted that list that she has made up because we have, in my opinion, there are workshops that would be only the three of us in attendance. There are workshops where there are the three of us and invited people.
Yeah.
And there are workshops that would include the public's participation. And the public's invited to all of those, but not necessarily to participate. And so that's why before I set this meeting or before we set this meeting, I want to know exactly what type.
It's a open meeting, if it's a workshop, and we can limit public discussion on it. If we state that up front, if this is a workshop, that we're gonna not be asking for input from them. I believe.
Yeah, here's my take. I think. Obviously, we all know anytime we get together, the public has a right to be there. That goes without saying. I think this should be a workshop for the commissioners. To work through this process. Without any public input, because here's why. The public can have all the input they want when we get ready to vote on it.
Right, that's the whole point. That's exactly the point.
We don't need them in
So-
there yowing at us like we did last time. I won't attend if we're gonna do that.
That's correct.
Very
And
counterproductive.
that is correct. And where we vote is.
Yeah,
After we,
then public comment.
they can have public
Okay.
comment on it, you bet. They can also be watching us do this if they want.
Sure.
Because they can, that way they can understand it enough to, when they have comment time, they can make an informed comment.
Well, there wouldn't be comment time. That's the
Oh,
whole
no,
point.
not that.
Oh, you mean during, when we get ready to vote on it? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I think,
And that's why you announce these meetings, and then, and if we were gonna make a decision in any one, that's why you should call the Board of Commissioners meeting.
right,
So we can, and that's in my view, this is sort of what this is. It's a special Board of Commissioners meeting. And you can limit the talk on that as a closed commissioners meeting. Not closed, but they can come, but they cannot comment. Or do you limit the comment at the end, whatever we want to set up. Tell you what we could do, I will call up CTSI and find out what they.
we can do
from
what
lawyers.
we want.
You can do whatever you want, it's a matter of whether they get sued or not.
Well, we know we're not gonna get sued if we post it correctly.
That's right,
So that's all we gotta do.
that's all I'm saying.
We're gonna have a workshop. Public's invited, the public will not be allowed to
That's
participate.
correct.
End of statement. That's why I look at it. How does it get any simpler than that?
That's what I said.
All right. So everyone is in agreement to that, correct? Okay, if we could set up and get posted a commissioner workshop. 1:30. Sound good?
Yeah.
On February 28th. This is a commissioner workshop. To work over.
A
To
service.
discuss.
Discuss the service.
To discuss a service. And
Contract.
maintenance contract. Public is invited to attend. No public comment will be taken. Bold letters.
There are no public participation.
So
Right.
public is welcome to be there.
Once I have it, I will send it to you before I post to make sure I've ordered it the way you want.
Okay.
So 1:30 to 3:30. 2 hours enough?
I think we can do that.
Yeah, I'd say no public participation, or what have you. So it's, 'cause you're not gonna involve them. Other than be here and listen.
So. I just want to make sure, because I do not want another meeting like we had the other day. you know.
Right, yeah, because we're not.
That one was on me because I did not make that clear before that meeting, and I just wanted to make sure exactly what we had going forward here.
We didn't make that decision ahead of time last time, so.
So thank you, gentlemen, for making sure we had that clarified here.
So I don't mean this literally, but generally, can we call this M&R maintenance and repair contract?
Yeah.
M&R contract, outside contract.
Okay,
You want it to be called that? I thought,
It's
service
It's
contract.
Well,
buildings,
maintenance-
repair, and maintenance service.
Service
contract.
contract,
Okay,
yeah,
M&R.
M&R service contract.
Thank you.
And do we want Braden in that workshop?
We're gonna need him if we're gonna
I
be
would
looking at
think
money, we're
money,
gonna push
yeah.
around,
I believe so.
Okay.
or could push around. We're not gonna push it around in that meeting.
May I ask a question?
Yes,
If it is a work session that only invited guests are participating, is that something, is that something that needs to be posted, like who the invited guests are?
No,
No,
Okay, I'm just double checking.
no.
Thanks.
all right. Are we good on this?
yeah, we better get moving here.
Yeah.
We got another meeting.
All right, next item up would be consideration of policies and procedures on the variable messaging signs.
I don't make sense to meet on that, sir.
I believe you're the one that put it on there, so please do.
So I've emailed that document to you, and Jennifer has also loaded it into Google Drive. Under our board packet for today. Jay, get to it myself, Jay.
You may not have that because it was added.
I was at
after the
separate.
fact.
I can print it out.
Print it.
I emailed it to both of you as
Yeah.
well.
He was
So,
looking through his hard copy.
okay. Yeah, no, I don't think you have a hard copy of that. So there wasn't many changes to this document. Let's see, I went through and made some corrections, but I don't think I redlined those, so. And just a quick review, so we don't lose track of this. Custer County bought these, Public Health did not buy these. I've already been accosted about that. That Public Health bought it. No, they didn't. The county bought these 3 signs. On a grant utilizing the coronavirus relief fund dollars for the purpose of educating and messaging the community pertaining to the coronavirus pandemic in Custer County. That was the whole purpose. That's how the grant was written. And so there's language in here that says, once that pandemic ends, then the county has the authority to use those signs however
Any way we
see
want.
fit. And that, all that language flew. So I just wanted to make mention of that.
It's underlined under number.
Yeah,
2.
and I did underline it so that I'd remember to make mention of that today.
And we had the authority to use it even during the pandemic.
Yes.
Actually,
Yeah, as long as it didn't interfere with
had to say that.
pandemic use, yeah.
It is now no longer pandemic, so.
Depends on what side of the political fence you are on, my friend.
I
You don't
believe
want to
it-
ask the
I
government,
believe-
you don't want to ask state
I
government.
thought it was declared a
Did they?
non-pandemic now. I'm not
I
sure.
thought he kept it.
No, he got rid of the pandemic, but he's making you still wear masks. Or recommend.
And then that language, most of this language hasn't changed. It spells out who gets to use that and when, what takes priority. And then the sites, which were in the middle, as I reported, of contracting with CDOT on those sites. I don't expect anything to change there. That's only on the state highway.
Question on that.
Yep.
I thought that was being done and kept up. I thought during one of the OEM reports that he said he was going to re-up that contract with the state.
Yes, he being Bill Christie.
No, that was
Adrian
prior. That
Oh,
was-
yeah, well, that didn't
Adrian.
happen. So that's why I got an
He
email.
he
from her
did,
today.
not recently, he did the time before.
Okay.
We
I thought it
are,
was fairly
we do not
recent.
have a current contract. with them.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
where my question.
Okay,
is.
yeah. And then messages for work zones, and I put and, excuse me, and other applications. This language was pulled out of a document from CDOT. So that's why a work zone on a state highway has to meet these criteria. If we want to use it for something else, that doesn't apply. That's why I put and other applications. Case in point, the whole public or the health fair, that message is out there now. We can use whatever size we want. We can use whatever frequency we want. Doesn't matter.
Right.
That's just if it's a danger in a work zone on the state highway, then that's different. So. Let's see, then. Credibility, not same kind of thing. A lot of that's boilerplate language there. And so what really applies to Custer County specifically is who has access to it, who has responsibility for it, how is it going to be used, who's going to schedule it, and that really the big answer to that's all OEM. Kind of a living document. Adrian and I worked on this for a year or so and added and took off stuff that we didn't think was appropriate or we were missing points. So
Yeah, I move we accept this proposed Custer County policies and procedures for the BMS.
second, will you be able to remove draft or do I? need to do that?
Absolutely. I did find some typos and I fixed those.
Good.
But that's it.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion on that? All right, anything in the room,
Copy.
online? I don't believe so. Okay, those in favor then,
So I need to sign, sorry,
oh, go ahead.
sign copy.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I did add a signature line. That's it. This didn't have one originally.
Okay, signature line with a date.
It's there.
Okay. That's good. I hate stuff without an amendment date.
Right.
So those in favor then of approving the policies and procedures of the variable message signs as presented here today, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. And
I'm printing it now for you.
Okay.
All right, next item up would be the consideration of adding Carol Byinger to the Board of Zoning Adjustment. Imagine you brought that to us, or just,
I do, yes.
okay,
I thought maybe Calvin would be here, but I will cover.
all righty.
Afternoon.
You're back.
Afternoon, right?
Nope,
Just about.
yep, my computer says 12 o'clock.
It will be by the time we're done.
The Board of Zoning Adjustment met on Monday and they did their elections and it was determined that 4 individuals on that board would not be adequate to make a proper vote. So they would like to add Carol. She is currently serving as an associate member and they would like to bring her onto the board as a regular member. It was a unanimous vote
To recommend,
to recommend, yes,
so that would make 5.
correct.
Can you share with us who's on that board and what those officers are?
Got it all.
We
Got it right
have,
here.
You do?
Oh, this is who recommended, I'm sorry.
yeah, that's for the STR, I believe. That's up next.
Yeah.
I didn't have any documents
Okay.
shared with
Yeah,
before.
So
We have,
let's talk first.
Okay.
I move that we accept the recommendation by the BZA to add Carol Byinger as one of the members. Voting
Second,
now.
Okay, so I do have a motion on the floor to accept the recommendation of adding Carol Byinger to the Board of Zoning Adjustment. Discussion, gentlemen.
in answer to your question, the individuals on that board help me here.
yeah,
We have John Decker was nominated and voted in as the chair.
okay,
We have, I can't remember his name. He's new.
Okay.
Dave Hayward. Thank you.
Chairs Decker.
Is the
Or-
vice chair. And Jerry Draper, she is the secretary,
okay.
and then the other member is Deb Adams.
Gary Pur's the secretary.
And right now Carol is an associate member.
Of the BZA.
Correct.
She was an associate.
She is
of
also
either-
an associate member
Right.
of the planning commission.
Okay, so who got them all down? Cause I
I
must.
did. So Decker, Hayward, Draper, Adams, and Bayhinger.
Decker Hayward or Wood.
Hayward, I believe, WARD.
And we have it wrong. I gotta look at my notes. I have it corrected.
Okay.
WAY.
HAYWARD, I believe.
I believe so.
Decker,
Oh.
Adams, Hayward, Byinger, and
And so if this motion passes, we add Carol to make a total of 5. Does the
Correct.
chairman get to vote, do you know? And do we have a set of bylaws for the BZA? Do you have the bylaw book back there, ma'am?
Yes.
I can borrow that.
BZA doesn't have bylaws, it's in the, resolution.
Zoning resolution.
and that the
And I think
chairman
that-
does vote,
Correct.
what I heard.
I don't know that.
That was a.
I would be
conversation.
amazed if that is
During
during
the
the
meeting.
zoning resolution, but hey, it might be.
I
Which
don't know.
would make a huge difference, right? That's why I'm asking.
Do they not have to have 5 to make?
Yeah, they have to have a majority somehow.
Let me see, I should have done all this ahead of time, sorry, but. Yeah, just,
But difference does it make if we accept her? We can
it
still.
it
iron
doesn't,
that
I
out.
mean, the argument could be, I want to convince you guys to vote her in. Because it could be a tiebreaker, that kind of thing, that's the reason I'm asking, but.
And I think another thing that we need to consider, or I would like to have you consider, is that she has a lot of experience. Everybody else on that board, with the exception of John Decker,
new.
does not have a lot of experience.
Yeah,
And,
she really
and
does.
honestly, it's my understanding, they only met once last year. So do any of them have much experience? And I think adding Carol to that will give them that edge of somebody there to help guide
I
them.
agree.
And then I think we had this conversation before when we were approving the boards. Members of the BZA can be pulled to fill slots
Right.
in
You
the
have that resolution.
planning commission, correct?
Yes,
The resolution. Fine.
Which basically they do the same. They, if they have associate members, they draw from them first and then from the other board. Okay.
It's referred to. The zoning resolution doesn't set up the BZA, it's set up by statute somewhere in it. Warren, all the resolution does there is tell you how the process works.
what they're doing,
Right,
sorry.
so. The BZA is a quasi judicial body established to hear variance requests to and appeals from the zoning resolution. BZA members are appointed by the BOCC. The BZA functions, here's the answer to the question. The BZA functions by authority granted in Colorado Revised
That's
Statute
right.
3028-117.
I think it was 3 to 5 members.
3 to 5 members, yes.
Okay.
Are they 1-year terms?
This doesn't
I don't think
say,
so. I don't think it was even term limited, was it?
I think we
I thought
reappoint
it was
those every
3.
year.
3 years,
I thought
I should
BZA
know
was
that.
3 years, but I'm double checking,
pull it
because I
up.
did
on
the
our-
research.
Again, without a set of bylaws for 'em.
And I don't know if it's even required to have bylaws in it. Have to look at the statute. Cause that's a appointed position.
Yeah, and for an action to be approved on a 5-member board, it takes at least 4 people to vote in favor of. So simple majority doesn't work.
That's right.
There are 3-year terms on the BZA.
Page on Bob.
I went to our board appointment, so I had it. And they're showing BZA 3-year term, Jerry Draper. I just caught her. So Dave Hayward's 3-year term.
So do you want to add that expiration to here?
Be 2025, right? December 31st, 2025, or
I
January.
just don't know if she would.
I would look to see how they're expiring to see if we need to have a different term initially.
So what's the statute name number, Tom? I'll look it up later.
3028-117.
Okay, so right now the existing members expire in January of 26. January of 26. I do not have an expiration for,
Jerry,
oh, well, wait a minute, those two are no longer there. Okay, the only ones I have on this list are Jerry Draper and Dave Hayward. So my mistake on that, so I don't have all of their expiration dates.
well, we just did that, right?
Right.
Haley.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there should be a date
got
at the
a-
bottom of the.
We already did Jerry Draper and Dave
Give me
Haley.
just a second on.
So they should
She's
be
got a
fine.
chart that shows.
That John Johnston, who did resign, at least verbally, was expiring on 2024. Deb Adams and John Decker, 2025. Jerry Draper and Dave Haywood, 2026.
So Deb Adams was 26, or she was when?
25.
25.
So this one would start now.
Did the BGA have a recommendation on Carol Valinger's term or not?
No,
Okay,
that was not discussed.
so I would say it makes sense,
Starts
that'd be
over.
26.
Sure.
Starts now.
Start from there.
26.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
5 years from now.
Was that a friendly amendment to your own motion for?
Sure.
a 3-year term starting?
Today. Starting.
Starting
January.
Well,
January.
yeah,
I
because
know
we
it's
try to
January.
turn those over January
Right,
1.
it's starting
so-
January, it's a 3-year term. So
Any further discussion on that? Anything from the room,
you be quiet, Gail.
online? Nothing
We
there.
got lunch to
Okay,
do.
those in favor of adding Carol Banger to the Board of Zoning Adjustment for a 3-year term commencing this previous January, expiring January of 26, signified by saying aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. You might as well stay sitting.
I'm sitting.
All righty.
Every budge, this-
Our next item up is a consideration of the Curtis STR.
That vote, the planning commission is requesting. They're sending forth their request for approval for the Curtis short-term rental application. The vote was not unanimous. We had 5 yeses, 1 non-vote. And I don't have an explanation.
Or is it?
I don't
was
have
he
an-
there?
I don't have an explanation as to why he didn't vote. It was, no reason was given. And then we have 1 no vote. So the no vote was just not enough answers, was the reason given. It was just voted to not recommend. Everyone else had,
Quinlan.
we did,
So, I would think Donnelly was an abstention. He was there, correct?
he was there. I think, I kind of half think he was joking around with Keith but I never got a true vote from him.
So he really abstained if he was there. A non-vote might mean he wasn't even there.
He made a comment and I don't remember what his comment was, but it wasn't yes and it wasn't no.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. And I see it's with no added conditions.
No added
Condition, no
conditions.
additional, not no conditions. I'm sure there was, oh, this is a new one, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so they didn't put any conditions on there.
No conditions. It was a very well, the application was put together very well. They had all their documentation. I have it here. A lot of their approvals were based on them meeting their outstanding application, them being outstanding members of the community.
They did a lot of work, but they deserve it.
Absolutely.
Let's say.
And I think that's not an completely accurate statement. There are conditions in the STR process that are put on.
Okay, so maybe this should say no additional conditions.
That's-
Okay,
Whatever the
Well,
conditions
Yeah,
are for an
no
STR, they
additional
meet.
restrictions.
Yeah, I mean,
besides
through
what
that
is already-
process, they say, are we gonna add any other conditions?
right.
And in this case, they did not do that.
So-
correct? Yeah.
So no conditions is not necessarily.
In the interest of Gala's stomach, I move that we accept the recommendation of the planning commission to approve the short-term rental application for Curtis.
I would second that. Any other discussion, gentlemen?
I did not go to the county map to try to track down exactly where this was at. Get lost. I couldn't tell you where Red County Road 319 was if you were flipping me.
Your 300 sit on the south side of Highway 96. 319 would be
Got it.
to get to the Rita and Rosita Road. Those are, let's see, 323 is Rosita Road.
It's in the packet there.
Yeah, mine's not loading real quick.
So
here.
that's the dump is the first line.
We don't have a dump, man. We have a landfill.
Landfill, excuse me.
they
Is the
do
first
also
line.
own.
I don't-
Are you here for the?
317 and then the next word is 3.
No.
They do also own or in the process of purchasing an additional acreage next to them, correct? An additional 40 acres?
Yeah, we've already bought it.
Okay,
I was just gonna ask you if you're here for this particular one.
yes,
So,
yes.
Good.
So it's,
Good. So we may get
Thank you.
some clarification.
That's the one that
Thank you
daylights
for
on
being patient
96
till we
instead of
got here.
Rosita.
What now?
What that road is, that daylights at 96, right below the hill off of Hosey Flats. Is that where it hits 96?
No.
Why is that in here?
For our property,
I think so.
where our house is.
Yeah.
You know where Silver Cliff Ranch is, Knickerbocker and Bunker Hill Road. We're on the north side of the road. To the left, there's like four
Oh.
mailboxes there. There's not a county road, it's just a private road. And it goes, that's our house
Got
is
it.
into that road.
Got it.
You go in where the scenic overlook used to be.
Yeah. I see.
It's on the north side of the highway.
No.
Yes.
Oh, north side, coming,
That road kind of runs north for a while and then it will turn off east later. But it's more north than it is east.
you're right.
So yeah, if you're going out of town, it's to your left.
So that would be a 200 number on an address instead of a 3, right? What are we showing?
So this is it.
Yes, sir. That's well.
And Knickerbocker is, this one had me confused. I thought Knickerbocker came this way to the southeast.
Yeah, that was printed right off of there.
Okay, does Knickerbocker cross the highway? Do you know?
No,
No,
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Is that the other adjoining neighbor that had the?
you know where the scenic outlook used to be from?
Yes,
right.
Turn in right there.
right there.
To
Got
the
that
north.
skinny barn.
Yes, going north.
Barn with the skinny main aisle.
And is this the property that had the big game fence all the way around
No,
it?
that's before, that's the Red Rock Ranch, I believe. It's-
Okay, so that's before your place. You have to
Yes,
go
sir.
on past that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I'm good. Did we vote? yet?
Anything else here?
Mhm.
From the table?
No, sir.
Any comment from the room then? And.
Well, I do have a question. Sorry. We're
um,
still under our cap for this zone.
Yes, sir.
You know by how many? Did you guys talk about that or no?
Let me, what zone is this one? This is zone 4. It will be full if if you approve the ones that we have coming
Okay.
up. So the recommendations that the planning commission will be making. I kind of tried to stagger it out, so I didn't fill you guys all up on one meeting with a bunch of these.
But it
By
would be
the end
full if
of
we
their,
approved
if you approve everything that they approve, we will be full in zone 4. The only thing that we will have open is one slot in zone 3.
And that's it.
That's it.
Until somebody
Next year.
vacates.
Correct.
Got in under the wire,
Yes.
or I'm assuming you might get in under the wire here, sorry.
And I guess to follow up on that, you're keeping tabs of that so that once these quotas of caps are hit, then the application will not even be accepted, yet alone making it to this.
We can accept them, but we'll put them first in order for 2024.
Okay, so that would more accurate than what I stated, yeah.
And I lied, sir, I do have another question.
Okay,
I'm trying to look for the map. And if I may. Does 319, correct? That's the road number?
No, it doesn't have a road number. 319 is out by the airport.
319 is for the
that's
airport.
what
Oh,
I was answering your question, and then I looked at these maps and I didn't see 319. He has a state highway 96 address.
Just on the other side where Dick Jones is, and south, west of there by quite a bit.
you'll have to forgive my ignorance. I did pull up the wrong application. Sorry,
Well, and I'm.
let me get on the right application. That may
319
help.
is not where y'all are.
Yeah, no, yeah, 'cause our roads do the road.
That's why I asked before, because they were talking about for some reason. Okay,
Yeah, some of these maps I can't read because they're just too dark. So whatever that, if it's not a county road, then it must be a driveway,
It's just the road, and we call it a private drive.
private drive, okay, but more than one residence on it.
I guess the Cottonwood Springs subdivision, that's where our house is located. and then the Red Rock Ranch and the Jansen parcel.
You're right in the middle of it, look like.
Yeah, we're at the end of the road.
And so that's the name of that subdivision.
The one we're in is the Cottonwood Springs subdivision. There's 8 properties, I think, out there.
And so my question was going to be, does the road or driveway, whatever we call it, does it go beyond your place or are you at the end of the road?
There's a neighbor there's one last Y
Okay,
that goes to
to another residence,
Yes.
but there's not 5 or 6 more people live
the, we're
beyond.
we're the very first lot and the road ends at our driveway.
Thank you.
How does Repoff and Burden get in then?
Did,
But it goes through
On the other
Uh,
side?
the next intersection to the east
Uh-huh.
where
Oh.
Dave Drivers.
So they come
driveway
around the other way.
You go through that, right?
Cool.
for you, Dorothy, in the letters that you sent out, did you receive any responses?
We received one opposition. Them individuals did come to the meeting. I do not believe that they are full-time residents. I believe they're part-time residents and had concerns, but with traffic. It was road. Correct me if I'm wrong. Their concern was the use of the road.
That's right.
I don't. Okay.
You don't remember who that was.
I don't.
Okay. That's another interesting point that we probably need to talk about with process here is. If somebody shows up and lodges a complaint, we're not gonna know that because we don't get the minutes. Or in this case, we wouldn't have gotten the minutes.
Because
You
they
just
haven't
met,
been written yet.
right?
They met it.
And it
So
was,
You gotta trust the PC to do their job.
Well,
Otherwise. we're
their
not gonna
job to
sit in
hear
and do
those
their job.
arguments, right?
That's right.
How are we gonna know that?
Well, why do we care? I don't.
Well,
do not care.
because we're supposed to have all that same documentation.
You can have it if you want, but I'm telling you, the reason we got it, if they have recommended them.
and that is something I can document a little bit better going forward. I will work on that.
So, because you furnish all of the letters that you sent out, but then you did, that particular
Right.
letter is not included in the packet, so
Because it was.
I would like to
Right.
see if you have a response, positive or negative.
It's nice to see
to
it.
go ahead and include those in the.
I will do
packets.
that going forward.
That would be
And if
great.
it's a verbal,
But yeah, that was my point. This happened to be verbal. How's she gonna relay that to us?
I
Well,
don't-
they sent a letter as well, correct?
I believe it was an email.
Okay.
Well, the fact they were there and it's in the minutes counts, doesn't it?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
I would assume if that was the case moving forward. Because the planning commission would have gotten that email, correct?
They did in their packet. We did not get it to them in the packet that we sent out to
Okay.
everybody.
Got it.
It came in later and
That makes sense.
we did bring it to them the day of the meeting.
Good.
That's something we're working on, trying to get all that. It's a work in progress as you get an application. And individuals we don't have a deadline, as to you have to have your concerns or to us by a certain date.
So that we can get, they can get them and we
Right.
can get them. Yeah,
So that's something we need to look at.
yeah, absolutely. Is that Scott Burden that lives out there? Do you know?
Yeah, he does, right.
Right beside them.
There, in addition to the one concern about the traffic, there was also an individual that stood up and spoke in favor of this STO.
You know who that was?
It was Jesse Geip. He is not a neighbor, but he has worked with Braun in the past. And gave more of a character reference.
Good guy.
Anything else from here to table?
Not from me.
Okay, we'll ask for the room again. And online. Hearing none. Those in favor then of the motion to approve the recommendation from the planning commission. To approve the Curtis short-term rental, signify by saying aye. Aye. The motion carries. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Way to go, tough it out all morning just for that. You didn't have to do that.
Well worth it, but
Appreciate your patience. some things take a while to get through. Next item up would be the consideration of the Yoder STR.
Hey, Tom. That's off county road. 319.
I see that.
Oh, I'm
Here.
sorry.
So on Monday, February 6th, the planning commission did send forth recommendation to you to consider approval of the Yoder short-term rental application. The vote was unanimous to recommend approval with the conditions that all of the property lines are marked with no trespassing signs, and to add a no flames
No.
rule, no open flames rule. I didn't write that very well. To the house rules. That has been done. According to Mr. Yoder.
Rule they got.
Say that
Is that
again.
a subdivision rule?
No, I think it was the one concern that was brought forward about the short-term rental from a neighbor, and that was how we rectified their concern.
So it's evidently in a grassy area, probably.
Go ahead, sir.
This document that you provided us that has the two conditions on it,
Mhm.
do those conditions show up anywhere else? Are they added to the application after the fact, or how do we deal
Well,
with those?
It is added to, if you approve it, it's added to their agreement form or their permit, if you will. And I did add that down at
And
the
that
bottom.
goes in your
All
file.
property lines must be marked with no
That
trespassing
answers my
signs.
question. Thank you.
Yeah,
And it also includes all the conditions in the.
every
resolution.
condition for every STR. Yeah,
Roger that.
And this was a unanimous decision
yes.
by the
And and that might be a good documentation to add to these packets for us to look at, so we know what the conditions were. You
Okay.
know what I'm saying?
And I wouldn't have that until right after the planning commission meeting, so I can,
Gotcha.
if I get a little quicker, we had quite a few of them, so I'll try to add this later to your packet.
Okay, I move we accept the recommendation of the planning commission for the application submitted by Yoder for a short-term rental.
second. Discussion.
Yeah, so back to what I was originally asking, I still have not clearly know where this is at.
Look at that map on the very back.
The lapsy on.
It's got
my
a
very last
Rosita
page is
Road
Currently blank.
headed north. You got Rosita Road and the intersection
None of
of
them I didn't have
319.
mapped.
So that's the old Four Corners Road. Rosita Road coming out of the landfill.
Yeah, this helps.
That's the one I'm looking at right here. Yes.
The one that is here, this is your first round. And then you come here and you push Yoder. There's probably a door like
Well, that's gonna be my next question.
And I built it there. That is out there in a grassy area.
I love that. You know, that's really.
Mhm.
So. Check. No. Gumpf owned a piece of property out there at one time like this. So I'm assuming on this map, this driveway then, right,
Mhm.
must be off of this curve. I don't know any of these people, so. And this is their driveway, huh?
Yes, sir.
Come back to 319.
It's too bad it doesn't show that very.
Yeah, that's what I was struggling with, how far down 319 it was, but.
It's not even a mile.
Yeah, it's not very far.
I used to live on 317, which is really a mile off of 319 from Rosita Road. And so it's about a quarter of a mile, if that, off coming down 319 where that drive is.
Yeah, I don't. Did you guys have this in your packet,
Mhm.
this page?
Right here, yes. I can pull it up on this map. It'll show you a little better.
That drawing's great.
So this is 319. No, and then.
Time never go down there.
Pull that in.
No.
There's a whole bunch of go.
The lay of the land is there. It's 318 and then 319. So this is 319, how it looks on your map there where it shows, so yeah, where that curve is at.
That curve must be right. above that.
Yeah, so it's right there where it's showing the creek.
Does it show the driveway or no?
You plan on
It's
renting
on
it?
this one right here. So it's this one here to the left. That's the longer one. This is the short section here. And then the one here to the left is right where they're at.
Is this? Okay, so 319 goes on.
Yes.
I don't know what that is, just the driveway. Let's see.
Yeah, it's-
All right, thank you.
Anything else from here? Any comments from the room?
No negative feedback.
We had one, it was one concern that was brought up, and once it was not in writing either. And it was traffic basically is the issue. That seems that and the boundaries.
The trespassing.
And those were addressed. It was the trespassing. And then the commission brought up the no flame rule.
I'm not seeing anything online, not hearing anything else in the room. If you gentlemen are done, I'll call it.
You're the
Got a
chair.
subdivision or no? Subdivision out there or no?
You good?
Thank you.
All right. Those in favor then of approving the Yoder STR signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Do they have outbuildings? You know,
Do they want?
have outbuildings?
I couldn't tell you. We didn't do a site review.
Okay, any other items of business, gentlemen?
Nope.
No, sir, no.
That would bring us to public comment.
You and I and Dorothy are the only ones online.
All right.
Here because Dorothy's actually in the
The
room.
only way I can tell when I need to be in here is if I listen.
So, and I guess you'll make sure whoever needs the copies of this.
Absolutely. I'm gonna
Okay.
hand them to Kelly.
I'm not hearing any public comment, not seeing anything online then. That being the case, I will adjourn this meeting at 12:33 PM.
Good job.
Dorsey, thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask?
So